All right, Big Bang. Today is Monday. It's April 25th. Welcome to the Dog Walk presented by Barstool Sports. Snake Draft Monday. Here we are. In studio guest Jeff D. Lowe. Jeff D. Lowe, welcome back.
What's up? It's been almost a year.
Has it? What was the last one?
The chain restaurant draft.
I know I've asked you since then. There was a scheduling conflicts, but I know I've asked you.
No, I don't think you have.
No, I have.
Oh, one time.
Yeah.
One time.
I asked
you.
and
You
Ken
did it
Jack.
with Ken Jack.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
What was it? It was a movie thing. I don't like doing movie ones.
I know you don't.
You like to go outside the box a
I
little
already
bit?
do that.
Yeah.
But I like the expertise and the knowledge you could shed on it.
That's
you know?
a very fair reason. Yeah, we've done TV families.
That was one where Dave tried to fuck his sister, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
I didn't try to fuck my sister.
Correct. That was early days.
Yeah.
And then there was the chain restaurant.
Chain restaurants, yes.
I'm 1-1.
I think it was a Christmas one. I asked you.
I
to be
misunderstood. Yes,
Yeah,
I misunderstood the family one. So we have an asterisk on that one in the on the Lowe franchise in the Dog Walk draft. Yeah,
a lot of asterisks in these drafts. But yeah, just the knowledge that Ken Jack was bringing. Remember those Home Alone stats he had for us about Joe Pesci and whatnot? I like that. That's nice. People like that.
what do we need? Like his fake swearing and shit.
No, about his
Frickin'.
like how he had tea time. Like every day.
yeah, in and out.
Yeah. He had to be in and out. I should say too that I did tease last week that there was an all-time Dave Brain moment in this coming draft. We decided to push that one back a week. So we pushed it back.
You're filibustering right now. Is what
I'm
you're
not
doing.
filibustering. I'm using a more topical topic because this week's topic is about the NFL draft, and it's a topic Jeff is very passionate about. So I wanted to do it.
Are you actually?
This was my pitch. I was like, holy shit! I have a long Twitter thread. It's not a thread. I did like a call out for people to. I like talking like 2000 to 2010 college basketball and football players that people don't talk about.
Yeah,
anymore.
it's our sweet spot. We're all around the same age for sure.
Yeah, I'm fired up about that. And I was like, this is the perfect timing right before the draft.
Yep.
Exactly. So draft is Thursday, so we're gonna hold that.
I look like a fucking schlub right now, by the way.
I mean,
I'm
people
just
understand.
it's a nice sweatshirt.
The hair's still looking good.
Store. Thank you.
For people that don't know, it's Thursday. There was a mishap last night with the dozen, and now it aired. It just aired, so you're a little.
There's a mishap again with the championships. We'll see how this goes.
No.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Are you
We're less concerned.
Dragged
right now.
over the coals right now?
No.
No. That's
No.
good.
People when it's a delay, they get mad until they just watch and they don't care anymore.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Carl, okay.
People
mad?
like to bitch.
Yeah, I'm feeling good. This is a unique draft category because it toes the line of like it's not a bust draft. We're not taking like the biggest
Right.
bust. There's like some element of like remember we drafted sweetest college quarterbacks.
Yes.
There's like this subjective element where it's like, well, we really wanted to watch this guy. We thought this guy could have a good pro career. Am I understanding this
You
correctly?
could could take a bus.
Yeah.
But like I don't know if I have. There's a couple on here where I'm like, I don't even know if I want to pick this guy because like, I even asked somebody, a fan of a team, if I should pick somebody.
There's a couple on the list that are on my list that are for sure busts that I am still to this day stunned that they're busts.
In my opinion, the key word here is star.
Right.
Star.
Any person I have on my list, a couple of them were okay to good, but they weren't stars.
Yes.
Like there's one guy in here I thought would make 10 Pro Bowls. He never made a Pro Bowl.
Yes.
But he was very solid, but he was not a fucking superstar.
Yeah.
I got
Keyword.
one that went to. I looked it up. He's going to be very down my board if I do even take him. But he went to 5 Pro Bowls, and I was like, really?
Oh, see,
That's tough.
See, I think
I
that's-
actually
the
anyone who made a
NFL's
Pro
weird,
Bowl,
though.
I took off the list.
I
And
took
if they
off
did
of-
make a
yes.
Pro Bowl, you can call me
The
out on it.
NFL's weird though with Pro Bowls. Like he could have been
Yeah.
like the 8th replacement because they
But
just
that's the
didn't
point. It's
fucking
easier to
like a
make.
Trubisky situation.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
But that's also an argument
But
against
like
it, Dave.
I
It's easier to
thought watching
make.
him in college, I'm like that guy's going to Canton.
No, that helps his argument, I think.
You think so?
Yeah.
I think it's different because if you didn't make one and it's kind of easy to make because of all the alternates, like that's kind of
suppose,
tough.
but it's like if you Trubisky made a Pro Bowl, and if you thought he was going to be awesome, I think he applies.
Derek Anderson made a Pro Bowl, so that is fair.
Yeah.
That is true because like I wouldn't call Derek. Actually, so maybe that could be a bad way to qualify.
Could go
'cause
both ways.
Derek Anderson
Yeah,
is
it could-
not
it
a
could go-
Derek
it could
Anderson
go
is not a star in the
both ways.
NFL.
Correct.
You
Good
gotta.
point.
I think you're gonna have to articulate your point.
Correct.
Yeah, you're
Big
This
time in
this
this
is this is a bad draft without context. I think.
Right.
Of like just the graphic, but whatever. That's not what I'm drafting for. I want my team for the audio and the visual gang.
Yeah. I'm on pins,
And I also-
pins and needles to hear who the 6-time Pro Bowler is, though.
I am.
Five-time Pro Bowler.
I'm on pins and needles.
I also think this is maybe in how many drafts have we done now? 130 or so.
Something
The
like that.
best
20?
draft to ever pick 5th overall because of how open-ended it could be. I think there's not going to be. I mean, there will be a handful of like.
Depends how
I
big your
want my
board
number
is.
one guy very
I got about
badly.
20
You do?
guys listed, and I don't think any of you guys will have probably about 15 of them.
Okay.
Just weird random names.
Just random names. Okay. So yeah, today will be the players you thought would be stars in the NFL draft. Simple enough.
Yep.
Next week will be salty snacks with Clem, and like I said, an all-time brain moment with
It's-
White Sox Dave. It's already in the can. You'll see that before we get going.
It's pissed me off for the weekend.
I'm happy you're restrained. You're in a straitjacket. You can't say anything. That's a great spot to be in for all of us in the room, besides you. Congrats, Carl, for winning the bald guy draft.
Thanks. It's like I'm bald. I'm a bald guy. The weekend before was cocktails. I like to drink. So these are sweet spot drafts.
Part of
This-
my ignorance. Who was your first pick in the ball guy draft?
Homer Simpson.
Homer
I
Simpson.
mean, that's- yeah.
Cartoon
Yeah.
character.
It's like he is the in my head of bald.
Yeah.
In my head, when I think of bald people, I don't even see his face. I just see the top of his head.
You could, yeah.
Like
you
that's just like it's like the cut off, top of the head.
it's
What are
so
you
much
doing?
easier
I mean,
when you
I'm
know
gonna-
what you're talking about. These drafts.
What are you doing?
That's a good. I mean,
Dave's
what-
passing notes and stealing pens. It's
What
like we're back in 5th grade all over again.
What are
You
you
draw.
doing?
You're drawing his head. I can
Yeah.
tell it's what he's doing.
Okay.
Yeah,
It's
the,
like-
the dome with the 3 lines.
Yeah.
I would assume Dave would be a decent
And
drawer.
a,
to be honest.
zigzag for the
It's
the
not
back.
good on the ridges
Yeah.
of the table. And he's got the MG in the ear for Matt Groening.
I'm excited about this one.
Are you saying it was a college football star that then isn't a superstar in the league?
Yeah, I left out the word
yeah.
college football because that's implied, right?
Yeah,
It's just,
I've been trying to think of a shorter way for you to,
yes,
to
I
make
know.
a title
This
for
is the
this.
longest title.
But no, I would say all these players were very good. Every player I have is very good in college.
Yes.
Yeah.
Players you thought would be NFL stars.
And there are also guys like
I-
there are also guys that were like maybe you were a little like all these guys are when I was in like middle school and high school. And I think back even middle school, it's like back then you don't.
You're
you
an
know,
idiot.
You're an idiot.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
You think of college players much differently.
Yeah.
So we might be going down the same path then because of what you just said.
I
do have-
I pared my list down a lot, but
I do
a long
have
list.
2 guys on my list who were good college players, but were also like, so this might be in your category too. The far and away hype train #1 recruit. So I have 2 guys on my list that are kind of in that.
I avoided
description.
injured guys and I avoided guys. Oh, that's actually not true. No, it's the guys. Okay, I won't say it's. I did avoid guys who weren't good because of injury. I did avoid though.
Okay.
'Cause I'm not sure that's really fair.
Yeah. Could be. Yeah.
Oh, that's true.
Could be.
It's like I don't.
That's
it's
like a what
yeah, I
if
don't-
more
it's like-
than
yeah.
yeah. I get that.
All right, then. We'll kick it off here. Harry has number 1 through 5 behind his back. What is it, Jeff?
3.
Yes.
Wow.
There you go, Jeff.
Number 1
Yeah,
overall.
I just want number 1.
I'm very curious about this. I'm also curious because you told me you had a lot of Notre Dame guys on your list.
I actually do not.
Oh, okay. Did I mishear you yesterday?
No, I did.
Okay.
I pared it down. The original list I did.
Okay.
There's a guy I don't think I'm going to get now, but I'm going to get my number 1, so I'm very happy.
Okay.
All right, Carl, 1 through 4.
2.
No.
Chief.
1.
Yes.
I'll take the second spot.
I think you're
White
gonna get it.
Sox.
I think you want
Dave.
1.
No.
2.
Yes.
I'll take 3. 1 or 2. Carl.
1.
Yes.
I'll take 4.
Wow, right down the row. White Sox Dave, you got your coveted 5 slot. Let's see
Yeah,
if
you got
were
what you
right.
want.
That's
You got to put up a spot. You got to put up a good draft, though, Dave.
yeah, like this is
You called your shot.
a lot of pressure here. There is no
you guys handed
complaining.
it to me.
I'm curious
There's
how much.
no complaining.
Well,
That's like, ooh, not a lot left.
Chief Notre Dame guy, but I'm curious how much if there's like Big Ten bias here.
I got a lot of Big Ten guys.
It's a heavy Big Ten.
I
I got a lot
have-
of Big Ten guys.
I would say I'm kind of a split between SEC and Big
Actually,
Ten.
as I look at my list, I don't have that many Big Ten
I gotta-
guys. I don't know why I even
actually-
said that. Okay. Are you going to go?
Yeah.
Well, hold on. Before we get going, Jeff, before
Oh,
we get going,
yes.
we got to talk about Roman because, the folks need, thinking of busts or thinking about people who weren't great is not, and I bet you there is definitely someone in the world that does that to try to last longer in bed.
Just think of.
Yeah, it's just thinking
Yeah.
about a player who's like, oh, this guy. and it doesn't work. So don't do that. Don't do
Bill,
it.
like Bill Sims thinking of J.P. Lossman.
Yeah, you can't have that.
That's a name drop.
Can't have that. So the folks at Roman, an online men's health company, they changed the game with Roman Swipes. The secret to longer lasting sex. Roman Swipes are a clinically proven way to last longer in bed. They're effective, easy to use, and they're fast acting, but they don't require a prescription. Roman can ship swipes to you in discreet, unmarked packaging, and each swipe packet is small enough to hide in your wallet for whenever you need it. They're super easy to use. Just you take the swipe out of the packet, swipe it on, let it dry. You're good to go. That's it. Go to GetRoman.com/dogwalk to get $10 off when you choose a monthly plan. That's GetRoman.com/dogwalk. One more time, GetRoman.com/dogwalk. Go use the swipes, people. It's going to help you out big time.
You know, I look, Carl, you can tell. I'm a commissioner, so I'm not going to accuse you. But anyone who maybe isn't a commissioner could accuse Eddie of Red Ed. Like this seat right here, the glare is very distracting on my
Is it?
eyes. I'm blinded right now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, convenient for you. You're back to the door.
I'll turn the fucking lights off, Jeff. I don't like lights.
I mean, from the car windows through the front door. I'm just for future note for your sake.
Oh, that's
if
that-
someone's in studio. I'm just
Okay,
saying.
that's good to know.
I don't want you being accused of being crooked.
You like that? I like that.
All right.
Ed's
all right.
controlling the sunlight.
Yes, I control everything now. No,
Yeah.
conveniently also, Jeff. Nobody brought up that I wasn't on the poll this week. Conveniently, nobody cares when I'm left off.
It's almost a little
But if
too
they're
convenient.
left off, it's always
it's
a
a little
conspiracy.
too
Also-
convenient.
It happened in the middle of our live show.
But still, it doesn't matter.
It does. Our minds are elsewhere. In that, I mean, we were.
Well, you can't
very-
recalibrate in the morning.
Of course you can,
Wait,
but
you were left off during the.
he releases it at like 7 p.m. on Tuesday nights.
Come on, that's pretty. That's
I release it at the same time every week. What do you mean? I can't. I can't change.
that is pretty funny.
I don't even know if I voted.
That's a good news dump. That's a good news
Yeah,
dump. during-
exactly.
I
It's a
can't
Friday night
change
news
course because
Yes, you can.
no, I can't because 1,100 people in a theater are preoccupied.
You can
we
change
got a lot of
course.
listeners, more than
That's
1,100.
a pretty good news dump. All right.
We have more.
I will be completely frank. I didn't even realize that it was you who was left off until you just now brought it up.
Yeah, of course you didn't. Of course you didn't, because nobody does when it's me. It's all about it's Red Ed. Whenever
I was the one who stuck up for you when Chief said that you have never left yourself out the poll when you started doing the council. I'm like, yes, he did. He left himself off one of them.
Convenient.
Thank you. Now two. All right, Jeff. Without further ado, number one overall.
I'm gonna go with a guy who was this lines up with what I said. Middle school. So I had a different outlook on players back then. Anyone who was good to me was like, oh, that's an NFL. He's going to be great in the NFL because he's good in college, good in the NFL. He was drafted very high. You could call him a bust. He was a cover boy, and that is the number one reason I picked him. He is on the cover. He's the guy I tweeted out when I tweeted this thread last year. Cover of NCAA Football 02, I do believe. NCAA Football 03, because it's for the 02-03 season, right? However the fuck it works.
This is
Joey
the guy.
Harrington.
Yeah,
He's my number
okay.
one pick.
Yeah,
Joey Harrington is mine. I do not know how in the year 2022 Joey Harrington was not an unbelievable quarterback in the NFL. You know what it was too? Oregon jerseys were sick.
Yeah.
He
They
had
were.
a great end to his career. They won that Fiesta Bowl
Yep.
against, I think, Colorado.
Yep.
Colorado beat Nebraska, and then Nebraska
day after
still made the Rose
Thanksgiving.
Bowl,
Yeah,
right?
that was fucked
and they
up.
they pummeled. Everything lined up for Joey Harrington to just be this legit star, and I just don't know how Joey Harrington is still not like Joey Harrington should be like Big Ben, or he should be retiring and have like 3 Super Bowls.
A little too much time playing the piano, not enough time.
I remember liking that about him
Yeah,
when he got
same.
drafted because they had a whole thing on him being like a concert level pianist.
Was it 02 or 03 NCAA football with him? Oh, 03.
I think it
Winky
was
was on.
03. Yeah.
That game it was a great fucking game.
Mm-hmm. And they did have I feel like he was the first quarterback that I fully remember when they switched from like their old school like yellow helmets Ducks to like, oh, we're in a new era of
The
Oregon.
big shoulder pad green.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they had,
it
like
just,
the steel great patterns on the numbers. Like they were sweet.
you know what was too? I think it the first. It might have been the first Xbox NCAA football as
Might have
well
been,
too.
yeah.
So it just
Yep.
it all lined up. Like that is like and that was also the year my dad was a huge Ohio State fan. That was I watched a lot of college football there. That was the year I first really, really hardcore got into college football, and so that's
your
for
guy.
me. Yeah,
It's a good pick.
Yeah,
know
it
why
was. He was a
why it
top
wasn't
pick
good.
for me too.
See, I'm looking at his stats right now. His stats weren't that great in college. I would have guessed they were way better. He only his junior year. He only started his junior and senior years at Oregon in 2000, 2001. 52% completion percentage, 22 touchdowns, 14 picks. Senior year, 58% completion percentage, 2,700 yards less than the year prior, 27 touchdowns and 6 picks.
Was that the Jonathan Stewart?
It was.
Team.
I think he was a little before that.
Okay. Because I feel like he was like their first like real big star, and I thought that they were like they didn't sling it like they did when Kelly got there, when Chip got there. Like they were a little bit more balanced. But and I also think
that
like,
was like the evolution.
Yeah.
Right then when the spread
When it
off.
was
It's still
happening.
it's the name. It's
Yeah.
the Ducks.
Yeah,
it's,
yeah,
everything
yeah.
was like it's a number one pick.
I also
Good-
wonder
good
if
pick.
58% in 2003 would be like the equivalent of 65% now.
Yeah,
Just
it could be.
You know, like I don't know,
fair
but
question.
I'm
A
wondering.
little different game.
Fair question for sure.
All right, Chief, you're up.
Trent Richardson, running back, Alabama. When he was at Alabama, I'm like, this guy is a fucking freak. He's Emmitt Smith. He had the huge thighs, won a national championship, fast, strong, bowling ball guy. I thought he was going to be like a no question, no brainer Pro Bowler for years. He is now, because I
One of
found
the worst trades of all time.
one of the worst trades of all time. One of the worst. He was a very
Yeah.
high draft pick.
Browns
Sorry.
didn't get anything.
Yeah,
from
yeah,
him.
yeah.
They got a
Yeah,
lot.
yeah, I know,
until they
but
didn't.
like,
Yeah.
but one of the worst trades of all time.
He is
trade.
currently playing in the Mexican Professional Football League.
Oh, he hung around. He was in that.
Why would you even do that?
He had
The
What was
US
the Ebersol League?
the the UFL. No, the UFL was fucking hilarious. By the way, what was it? The AAFL.
Yes,
something
he
like
was in
that.
that.
Yeah, like
he was
he's
in that.
but he's a guy who, when you're in college and you're at Alabama and you're running through like highway size holes, you don't need vision. Like I feel like that guy led the league in getting tackled by his guard's ass. Like he would just run right in the NFL. You just see like he just runs straight, hits his own guard, gets
I was at his first ever game. Browns, Eagles. Brandon Weeden and Michael Vick combined for like I think 8 interceptions in Cleveland, and he trucked Kurt Coleman, and Kurt Coleman's helmet popped off. Granted, it was loose and the straps were not on, so it didn't really count. At that moment, though, we were like, this guy is the next fucking
This is the
Jim
guy.
Brown. And he scored a lot of touchdowns, but they were all very short. And Ian Rappaport dunked on me on Twitter because when the Colts traded for him, he tweeted, he goes, oh, it's like 8 touchdowns for Trent Richardson in Indianapolis, but the Browns are hurt. I'm like, they're all fucking 1-yard touchdowns. He has like 1 50-yard run. And he's averaging like 2 yards a carry. He's not good.
he has
And
4 seasons total. in the
Rappaport
NFL.
dunked on me. He was like, well, if my mom didn't have arms, she couldn't carry something. I was like, oh, fuck off. Fuck you.
I think I looked at his rookie
like
year.
Rap, though.
His longest run was 38 yards. And yeah, like I said, 4 years in the NFL. Not any. I don't think it's injury, right? I don't remember
No,
him.
He just
wasn't.
stunk. It was the worst vision of all time.
Yeah.
He had the
just
absolute
sucked.
worst fucking
he just
vision.
sucked at running
because
back.
they got rid of him the next year, or the year after. Terrence West and Isaiah Crowell
Yep.
were great behind a great offensive line. I mean, that line, they had
Joe Thomas.
They had Alex Mack. They had what's his face? He's on the Chiefs now. His brother is a former player. Fucking Mitchell Schwartz.
Mitchell Schwartz.
Their line was insane. Joel Bitonio. He just can't. He just had no
He was
vision.
just bad.
He had no vision.
He was so he doesn't. I mean, he's definitely he's draftable. Like it's
I was at that draft too. We got
Were
Trent
you?
Richardson and Brandon Weed, and I was fired up.
You're off to the races.
It's a fine pick, but to me, Trent Richardson is the guy who I always thought like he'll bounce back. He'll bounce back at some point. You
from
know?
the Mexican League.
No, like even when he had his first bad season with the Colts, it's like he'll
Yeah.
be fine though. Like you always thought he'd be fine.
Yeah, it's offensive line. It's
Yes,
play calling.
yeah.
There's no way somebody who was this good in college
Correct.
could
Yeah.
be this bad at the NFL ranks because he really was, to me, the first running back where you're like, oh, man, you got to be like smart and sharp. You can't just get the ball and just like run people over. Like there's a lot more thinking and intuition that goes into playing the playing the position. I
Yeah,
should
because
say.
his rookie year was not bad. He had 950 yards. Like he had
Yep.
a good year. You know, he had
Did he
11
win a Heisman?
touchdowns.
I mean, he's still only 31 years old.
Oh, that is like the most mind-boggling age I've ever heard thrown out there. I would have guessed he was like 38.
Yeah, no, he's 31.
Tough.
Wow.
All right, Trent Richardson.
Wow.
Off the board. All right, it's to me. I'm between 3. I'm hoping one of them really gets back to me because I really want them. But I think you just got to shoot and you got to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You got to
Yeah.
take the top guys first. And there's no one I love more than Matt Leinart. And this like he is all of our like peak college football viewing years, like he was the guy. Him and USC were the
that
guys.
Notre Dame game with him and who was a wide receiver. Well, I won't say his name in case somebody wants him, but like that's still to me like a top 5 college football game I've ever seen. The Bush push one, and he led the big drive down at the end, and obviously snuck it in. I don't remember thinking like he's because he was always like the 3rd or 4th quarterback in that draft, right?
Yeah,
Was that with
I forgot who
Well,
he
you
went.
can't say. I think he went like
yeah.
7th overall that year.
I think he went 10 or something like
10?
that. I
That
think
sounds about right.
Yeah, to the Cards.
There was it was from the Bush push game.
Yeah.
I remember I was watching this when
Yeah,
I
he
was
went
working
10.
at Arrowhead, and it was just on, and I was watching it as I was working, and this image is burned into my head. He just threw, it was like maybe a 15 or 18 yard post pattern, and not a giant gain or anything like that. Pretty much a play of non-consequence, and he had this look in his face where he's like, I'm going to take this ball and I'm going to shove it down their throat the rest of the entire game. It's weird to describe, but I was like, that guy's going to be an NFL star.
Started 18 games.
I thought he had that.
That's less than I thought.
Started 18 games.
Yeah, one of them was the Monday night game against Chicago.
Yep.
Yeah, that was
Which is
Yep.
fucking great.
That was
I watched
Dennis
it the other
Green's-
day. Yeah.
No, he was. I remember when Sports Illustrated they talked about his lifestyle and playing quarterback at USC, and like to me that was so cool reading like the detailed SI feature about like, how he only has class like twice a week, and
Yep.
one of the classes
Ballroom
was like
stand.
ballroom
Yeah.
dancing, and he spends a lot of time at clubs. That was just
He should have left early.
he really was bigger than anybody else.
He was just a guy you grew up watching, and obviously, I want to be like Mike. Like, there was a lot of people that wanted to be him. Like,
Yeah.
dude, USC, California.
There's something
He didn't
something
have a
about
big arm
left.
either. A lot of
No.
dropping it in the bucket.
Yeah.
Not
a
a
lot
lot
of
of-
these soft touch passes.
It
Lefty.
looks sweet with
You
the
know what
lefty.
didn't
yeah.
help? But I think at once he stopped looking unstoppable, it looked almost like doofy. And I think the number 7 wasn't, because he was 7 in the Cardinals, right?
Yeah.
Something about getting rid of 11, and it just looked wrong in the end. You're like, oh man,
to
this guy's
7, yeah.
this guy's nothing.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
that was Liner was always my guy, and I truly thought he was going to be a star.
It's a good pick.
Yeah. Okay, Carl.
Yeah, I'm going to stay on the quarterback train here. I'm going to take Brady Quinn.
Mm-hmm.
It's the name, it's the pedigree, it's
First
the
one off
size,
my
the
board.
smile, the hands. He's a first rounder.
Hot-looking dude.
Everybody thinks Brady Quinn's legit. The Brady, the Matt Leinart game. I feel very confident in saying that, like, there is no problem being like Brady Quinn's going to be a quarterback in the league for like 12, 15 years. Is everything that it takes. Just needs, a decent offensive coordinator and an okay offensive line. Obviously not the case. It's still a name, though, that stands out to us, whether it's in, media or you still see him now on social and it still hits. It's like, oh, Brady Quinn speaking up on an issue. Like, he still, to me, is every bit of that, like, name recognition. He just, like, literally was not good at playing quarterback in the NFL. That's it. It's as simple as, like, he just wasn't that good.
He's too
Iconic.
muscular. Too muscular.
Iconic
That's,
college
that's what they
quarterback.
say. Like he couldn't be accurate because he was like too yoked up. Like that. That's what people say about him. So
If you if you say quarterback and there was a picture of one, like he has.
That's it.
Oh, yeah.
That's it. Brady Quinn is it.
Yeah, perfect looking guy.
Yes.
And
He is every movie cliche quarterback, like looks wise.
I still remember that draft, and he was pretty, like all the mocks had him like in the top 10, and I remember when the Dolphins passed on him, like there was a hush roar, like
He said wow on camera.
Yeah, that's
They
right.
showed him,
Yeah,
he said, wow.
yeah. Like so then it was like I don't know where I'm gonna go,
And
and
then
you end up in Cleveland. Like
What
that's
he
a
do
death
is fell to
sentence.
the Browns.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They picked the quarterback that same fucking spot 3 times.
Oh,
3
no.
times.
Who were the other two? Do you know?
Whedon was the other one.
Okay.
And Manziel.
Okay. What do you?
Denzel,
So I
Whedon,
mean,
Quinn,
you
same
have the
spot,
most
22.
experience with Quinn. Like, what was?
He's a
there-
funny one because he's not like Whedon and I mean Manziel did play his first year, so he counts. But Quinn didn't play his first year because Derek Anderson was a fucking Pro Bowler.
Yeah.
Derek Anderson was incredible.
That's usually not a
one time
bad
he
thing
should
for a
have.
quarterback.
No, usually
either.
isn't. Usually the Browns
Yeah.
ruin quarterbacks early. But
Well, I'm
he
saying
didn't
just
play
like
for a
as
year
a
and a
whole.
half. Yeah.
We could probably do a draft like this and take nothing but Browns quarterbacks.
And Bears quarterbacks.
Definitely.
Well, we all just assume they're going to suck, so not quite.
Well, the Browns have taken way more in the first round than the Bears have.
Yeah, it's true.
he was 4 of 16 in 20 starts with 12 touchdowns, 17 interceptions, and a 53% completion percentage.
24 games played. No stats on starts.
Great college
And
quarterback. Though.
some of those years where he went 1-7 in Kansas City in 8 starts.
yeah.
Dude,
It's tough.
after kind of jogging my memory with some, because I haven't had any of these names even on my list yet. We could do 20 rounds for this show, I think.
He was one of the three I was between, so I needless to say I love the pick.
Superstar that just wasn't that good.
White Sox, Dave, you were up.
I was talking about him with Stephen Shea. I have talked about him for this exact draft topic multiple times. Unfortunately, he just passed away. I'm going with Dwayne Haskins. He is the best quarterback I've ever seen in person in college. I've talked to Northwestern, so being a Northwestern fan and being very close, only half hour from Ryan Field, I go to most home games. And I've seen multiple first-round pick quarterbacks, notably Haskins, Jared Goff, who was first overall, and then Daniel Jones. When I saw Dwayne Haskins play at the Big Ten championship game, that was a really fucking good Northwestern defense. He was putting balls 2 inches that would have been returned for pick sixes that were 25-yard gains. It was, and I asked them, and I asked my buddies that were playing. What's his name that we did the video with last year, 2 years ago? JB Butler. I'm like, who's the best quarterback of these three? And he's like, Dwayne Haskins, without question. I thought he was going to be the best quarterback in football, or one of them, perennial Pro Bowler, and he just didn't do it.
I mean, he threw 50 touchdowns that one year.
He was.
That was that stupid Purdue game they lost.
But here's the thing, though. Doesn't it hurt him that he died?
Of course.
Like, that's the problem. Because he did.
We still
he
know.
doesn't die. There's
we
potential.
still know that he wasn't going to do it.
But, dude, I mean, I
It
don't
really
know.
seemed like he was on his way out.
For sure. It really did. But listen, like, the
Didn't
Steelers.
they cut him the year,
Eddie
his
Schefter
second
over
year?
here.
But time out, though. No, I'm trying to
you're
stick
the
up
opposite.
for him.
You're the opposite.
I'm
You're
sticking up
opposite.
for him.
Yeah.
Oh, I know
Chief
you
Schefter.
are.
He's entering a fucking roster it would have been him, Mason Rudolph, and Mitch Trubisky. Like, he had a chance. Like,
He had a chance, but
that's not-
we all know how it probably would have gone. He wasn't. He got fucking cut in his second year, right?
But I think that was more off the
back
field
then,
shit.
the Skins.
Yeah,
Well,
I
yeah.
think that was more like off the field issues.
But that goes into play as well.
Totally
Yeah.
does. But I'm just saying, like, if he gets that correct, like, people, like, how old is he? 23, 24?
He was 25, I
like,
believe.
I don't know. I don't think it's a good pick just for that reason, because he only
I
played 2
get
years.
that, but I thought that he was a fucking superstar.
But also, like-
on the path to superstardom. And this is bad. This isn't like, to Jeff's point, a lot of the guys that are on my list for the rest of them, I was just like 12 years old and dumb, and I was looking at college statistics and not NFL projection. Dwayne Haskins was not that. I thought he was going to be a superstar quarterback, like a legit superstar quarterback.
Hold on. All right, so Kyler Murray, is he a superstar?
He's very good.
He is in that same draft. So, like, that's what I mean, where it's like the story's just not told yet. It's not long
I mean,
enough.
I think
In
it's
my
safe
opinion,
to
I
say
think it's a bad pick.
that Kyler Murray is like a top 5 quarterback in football.
No, he's not.
No, he's
Seven.
not.
No, he's not.
Kyler Murray top? No.
No, not at all.
No.
But
Some
that's
cool
the
stuff.
point.
Cool
Very
shit.
good.
In September and November, he's a top 5 quarterback.
Okay, fair. But I mean, this is
Well,
Dwayne
for all intents
Haskins
and
was
purposes,
on
it's
his
your.
way out.
I mean, it's a subjective pick. Like, this is who you
Yeah.
thought. This is who you're. Everybody has a different gleam with their eyeballs, and this is how
Right,
this draft's
that's
gonna be.
exact-
Yes,
exactly.
Yeah.
I know, but
He-
I'm just saying, objectively, like in a
like,
vacuum,
and if I didn't see
not a
him,
great
if I
pick.
just
To-
watching him on TV, I might not have felt that way. But I was watching this like 20 yards from him, like
Yeah.
first row
Yep.
50-yard line,
Yep.
Big Ten championship. I was like,
and that helps you. It
Yeah.
helps you. But I'm just
And
saying, objectively, like if
like
you look at things, like,
awestruck
oh, well,
by
what the
him.
fuck?
To Dave's point, though, like if the Bears had been like, let's go get Dwayne Haskins, you would not have been excited about it.
right now.
Well,
Well,
before he
of
passed,
course, of
obviously,
course.
yeah. But
No,
like,
I wouldn't have.
You're right.
I mean, I was obviously wrong, but like I'm talking when he was in college at
Yeah,
Ohio
just
State.
just pure talent.
If
Yeah,
the Bears, I remember tweeting Nate this. I can probably dig up the tweets because it was only a couple years ago. I'm like, dude, Dwayne Haskins, he is going to be a fucking superstar for the Redskins. You can't say that, whatever. The Washington football team,
Thank you, Dave.
they are going to love this guy. Just take my word for it, and I could not have been more wrong.
Okay. Who you got wrapping around?
Now this is where I want to kind of get fun with it, or do I not? Now I'm going to take someone here that he may have gone to a few Pro Bowls. I could be wrong at the same time though. But when he was at Florida, he was a freak. I'm going with Percy Harvin. I thought he was going to be the next fucking just all-purpose back, Marshall Faulk stud. Just catches everything, returns kicks, like get the ball in his hands, and he's a fucking playmaker. And he was like fine for a handful of years, but he was never like the guy.
He was on my list, and then I took him off.
He made one
I
Pro
wouldn't
Bowl.
because he won Rookie of the Year.
Yeah.
I see that then like I think it's you're like fringe on that one for me.
Wasn't Trubisky probably top? Oh no, that was the second year.
He was a good
yeah.
trade chip. Yeah, I see. I personally would not count him. He fell off very quickly.
Yeah.
And like
He started getting migraines, and he was never the same.
he was going to be a star in Seattle. I mean, he did return a kick for a Super Bowl in Seattle.
Yeah.
but he was really fucking good in Minnesota.
To Dave's.
How many career touchdowns?
But I wouldn't. But again, I would not call him a star.
He had 22 career touchdowns. He wasn't a star, but I thought he was going to be.
Those are all in the first 4 years. It looks like. Well,
He was done at
yeah,
26 years old.
Yeah.
After they traded him to
That's
Seattle. I know he had-
28
fair.
years old.
I actually think,
I'll say that's fair. I would have not picked him, but
And
I
the
think that's
NFL
fair.
is so hard because of the injury factor too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You know.
Well, that's where, like, at first when you said it, I was like, I thought he was pretty decent, but then remembering him, like, I thought he could have even been better. So
He definitely at one point was really. He had a really
Yeah.
good year in Minnesota.
Yep.
yeah.
Remember, he was a huge trade chip.
Was he on that team with Brett Favre? Was that might I have the timeline?
I think he was probably.
What year? What was Favre's last year? Oh yeah, he was there. He was there. He was a rookie with
Okay.
Favre.
Yeah. Like I feel like I
09,
remember
10.
that connection. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he never had a 1,000-yard season.
No.
All right. So that sounds like the people are okay with it, Dave. Carl, you're back up.
Yeah, I'm gonna take a risky one here. I'm gonna go Eric Crouch because he just wouldn't even play.
I thought I might get him like
yeah,
round
he's
5.
just like, no, I'm gonna play.
He didn't even get drafted as a quarterback.
Yeah, I got drafted 3rd round as a receiver to go play for the Packers. You couldn't think of like a better circumstance for like transitioning. You know, like one of the all-time faces of a program in our lifetime in college football is Eric Crouch and those Nebraska teams. So then here come the Packers, like, all right, we really like you. We're going to spend a 3rd-round pick. We want you to be like a slot guy. You'll be a leader on the offensive side of the ball. We'll have 2 quarterbacks in the huddle. Like all these compelling reasons to have Eric Crouch in your fucking huddle working with your team, and then he's just like, no, if I'm not playing quarterback, I don't want to play.
I don't
like,
think
what
that-
an unbelievable twist. Did he even play like a preseason game?
I think he.
This I
yeah.
don't remember at all.
Yeah.
His athleticism was seen as better suited for playing wideout, but a hard tackle by a defensive player caused him to have 150 cc of blood drained from his leg. Ooh. Never played a. But yeah, he was on my list.
I love Eric Crouch. I didn't think he was going to get back to me. There's other positions, other players, but like college football superstar name brand recognition that. I mean, I'm not going to say you thought he'd be a superstar in the NFL at all in the least, but it's not like, oh, this guy's going to rip it up in the league. But like,
He won Heisman. Like
he literally didn't even was just like, no, I'm not doing that. I'm playing quarterback.
we won a Heisman, so it's like he was on my list. He caught that one touchdown, and I got embarrassed against Miami. Like
Yeah, that was bad.
like program setback embarrassing.
I hated him because
That Miami team
Notre
was
Dame.
fucking unbelievable.
Yeah, they were crazy.
Yeah.
They played Notre Dame at Notre Dame Stadium in a regular season game, and it was like maybe the only really truly huge game under Tyrone Willingham. And then Julius Jones had like a kickoff return for a touchdown, like it was an electric. And then he scrambled and scored a touchdown to win the game in overtime. And he just like spun the ball and like stared down the crowd. It's like, oh, this guy's a fucking asshole.
It's an
I love
electric
that.
season.
though.
But like this one to me, like I don't remember there ever being a discussion that he was going to be a good player
Yeah,
in the NFL.
that's
I
my
don't-
problem
I don't
with it.
remember
Yeah.
that at all.
That's totally fine.
See, that's I agree,
Yeah.
but that's where it's different for me. I was in.
Yeah, in
I was
your
a middle
life.
schooler. For me, it was, I just
Yeah.
saw the guy win the Heisman Trophy. It was like, oh, that guy, and then like he wasn't.
Yes. At
So it
that
made
point in
it
your
make sense
life,
to
you're
me.
like, how the fuck did this guy not? Yes. So
Yeah.
I understand that. But like,
I get what you're saying.
This
That's like,
draft is so weird.
it's gonna be
Yeah.
all over. There's other shooter
weird.
picks, but I feel like he's such a big name to college football, and to not play, to be drafted in the 3rd round. Now this is the first time I'm hearing about like leg blood.
Yeah, I
I
don't
never
remember
heard
that
that
either.
either.
That might just
Actually
be
didn't know-
somebody.
I didn't know that
You
either.
might.
Damn.
Did you put that in Wikipedia
He kept
before the
playing until
draft started?
2011, though.
He did?
Like not NFL,
Okay.
but he kept going. So that's why I wouldn't like injury for me. Like the guy I don't have on here, which I'll mention. I don't want to mention. Then someone takes him. He was injured, and never played because he just legit could never play again. He never tried to play again, I don't believe. But
Okay.
Crouch obviously kept trying to play.
Now, in modern time, now we look at so many of these guys that have changed positions at the NFL level and like the success that you can have with somebody if they know what they should be doing, like the routes to run, all that stuff. Like I feel Eric Crouch in today's game, if he came in was like, yeah, I'll play receiver, would like fucking dominate.
Or he might have just been drafted as a QB. People might have just been okay with
He
him.
had. I want to pull up like his combine numbers because like was he just fast?
Someone on my list has funny combine numbers. I totally forgot about it. I forgot that's why. Yeah.
Well, there's a guy who literally just because of combine numbers ended up getting drafted like 6 rounds too high.
All right, Eric Crouch.
Pretty good
There's a
40.
lot of those
Pretty
guys.
good 40 time.
Wait,
4.4.
he was
The
an
last
athlete.
thing I re-
449.
Yeah.
36-inch vert. I don't know how to grade these other ones. Like I don't know what a good shuttle time is, but 4 second shuttle time seems quick too.
Eric Crouch. Off the board.
The last thing I remember reading about him is once he finally hung it up, he like majored in construction management or whatever, which I'm sure a lot of those guys do, and he was just like overseeing the construction of a condominium complex or whatever it was, and he lived in a little 1-bed apartment in Omaha, Nebraska, and had that Heisman Trophy right on the mantle. That is so fucking awesome. Just be like, yeah, I won the Heisman. I love that.
I love my next pick. I'm up. I love my next pick. It's one of the
You're
other
running
three
to the
odds between.
podium.
I'm running to the podium.
Sprinting.
I'm thrilled that he's there.
You're 3, right?
Thrilled, yes. I'm like thrilled. He won Player of the Year, 2-time Doak Walker Award, 2-time Jim Brown Trophy Award, 2-time SEC Player of the Year. I'm going Darren McFadden. Darren McFadden.
Run DMC.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
He was like,
Was he never good in the pros?
No,
He was never made a
couple
Pro
good-
Bowl.
He had a couple good seasons.
yep,
though.
never made a Pro Bowl.
Not to like. I
He had
think
a couple
that's-
good seasons
yeah.
with Dallas. I think when
I thought it was the
if
Raiders.
Zeke was down.
Yeah,
He was awesome.
a monster.
Awesome in college. Didn't they have 3 guys on that backfield who were like all played in the
Felix
NFL?
Jones, Darren McFadden,
yes.
and
Peyton Hillis.
Peyton Hillis.
Yeah.
Mm.
Dude, it's just tough. He's got 2,000-yard seasons. I know, but you thought Darren
Yeah.
McFadden.
Right.
You thought Darren McFadden would be like an Adrian Peterson level.
Yeah, well, that's the thing.
That's the
That's who
comp.
he
This,
was.
this is
That's
where
the comp.
I'm gonna pull back on my criticism of the Percy Harvin pick. Percy Harvin pick is good because I think this is good too. I think that's fair because I think the 1,000-yard season like good, but like McFadden when he was drafted, you're like, dude, this guy's gonna be this guy's gonna revolutionize the NFL.
Can't miss.
Injuries hurt for sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
Can't miss. Can't miss.
So his last real season, I don't even remember him on Dallas, but his last like full NFL season was 1,000 yards. It's 2015. So
I think he had some injury issues too. Those Oakland teams were so fucking bad. That
they
he
were
was
bad.
like
It was a
anonymous.
That was a fuck
That was
team
like
to be on.
like
Yeah,
literally
like
a-
Hugh
They were
Jackson.
bad.
literally a black hole. At like that, like the black hole just describes like them in that period of time where they just anything good just gets sucked into that.
Didn't they bring back Art to coach or something one year?
They did have a weird coaching thing. I forgot what it was though.
I think the weird
forgot what
coaching
it
thing was they
was.
fired
I'm,
everybody after like
Cable,
7
yeah.
games. Yeah,
And-
cable.
I remember he had a national. There was one national television game. I forget what it was. Maybe I just looked it up. It might have been the LSU game. He had over 200 yards, and they just like showed him, and like he just had. It almost looked like he just had this like it was like Spike when they revealed him. It was like look at
Dude, he
this
was
guy.
muscles. He was
Yes,
like
he
he had
was
those
just-
like he had those Thomas Jones like kind of like arms. You're just
Yes.
like that's a fucking athlete.
Yes.
Yeah.
Isn't that where the Wildcat came from? I feel like Darren McFadden with like the
I feel
him,
like they,
Peyton
I
Hillis,
thought it was
Felix
the
Jones.
Dolphins, but I don't know.
no at the college level.
Oh, at the college
I
level?
think
Uh,
you're right.
I'm not gonna say who the Wildcat was because I don't want to.
Yeah,
I don't want
tip
to.
a pick.
Yeah, I.
I don't know. You think there's
it leans
I
into
think-
a guy who I want.
I
so
think
don't,
I know where you're going with.
Yeah,
this.
I don't.
All right.
I don't want. I don't want to spot. Yeah,
But I just don't like. You guys know watching Darren McFadden, I was like, holy fuck, that's the next Adrian Peterson.
incredible.
Yeah.
he's
Again,
on my list. I think there's a couple other guys that can kind of fuck around with McFadden where it's like, dude, how did this guy? Because McFadden still had a couple productive seasons. It
Yeah.
wasn't like the Trent Richardson, but then Trent Richardson to me is just like a massive bust. Where like McFadden really isn't a bust. He played. He was productive. You know, he had issues getting healthy. It wasn't the right circumstance. He just never got to that all-pro level that we had all banked
which is
on.
crazy. Yeah, which is crazy.
pick, Ed.
The
Very
guy
good
didn't make
pick.
a Pro Bowl, not one
Yeah.
Pro Bowl. So I'm happy to have Darren McFadden. Chief, you're up.
With this pick, I'm going to go ahead and remove myself from the poll, but I have to do it because I've been talking about this.
Yeah, take him. You can't.
I have to take him.
I know you're gonna take.
It's Tyler Bray. Like Tyler Bray, I think I've got tweets about Tyler Bray going back to 2012. So I've like 10 years. I think he's finally out of the NFL. Like he got into a game with the Bears and it was like my internet life is complete. And but I remember watching him at Tennessee, and Tennessee was like not quite the dumpster fire they became because he was like he had some Kiffin time. I think he was recruited by Fulmer. And I remember watching him in a bowl game against North Carolina, and I'm like, this guy is Dan Marino. He's 6'6". He's got a monster arm. He's got a quick release. He's swaggy as fuck. I'm like, this guy is it. Like, it's not his fault that Tennessee is, I think they went 7-6 or something like that. But like, he was, to me, like, that's what a quarterback should look like. And I was convinced that once he got his shot in the NFL, he was going to be like a legitimate like franchise quarterback just based on tools.
The exact like spirit of this draft. See, I think that because it's to you, it's specific to you, that is an excellent pick. But because you felt that convicted in that particular player,
Is it though? You gotta have more. You can't just have like one personal experience and be like, "Oh, that's." There has to be.
He had an electric last season.
Yeah, but there has to be a little bit of like a little bit of steam.
But like to me, like, and this
to
is
make
why
it a good pick. It's a good pick for you personally, but objectively make it a good draft pick.
I also just I didn't feel right about I knew I could get him probably in the 5th round. I didn't feel right about that because in the spirit of this draft, that is my guy for this draft. And I've talked about it so much, and I have to have him. I want him at the top of my board, and I know there's going to be probably a lot of people who listen to this and vote and whatever who have never heard of him. But circa 2007, 2008, something like that, Tyler Bray, just an absolute hose of an arm with some wheels, and then he would give like the throat slash symbol to people. He like ran people over. Like Tyler Bray was sick in college, and he's just not that guy. Unfortunately,
you're not that
Tyler
guy,
Bray. That's such a great 2010s college football name.
Yeah.
You opened the floodgates for me.
Okay.
I'm glad you took that for that reason too.
Well, no,
the floodgates reasons.
You and Ed opened the floodgates. I was not going to pick this person unless it was there and somebody before me had picked two players or at least one or two players similar. I am on the fence about him, but I'm going to take him because by the standards of the draft now, I think he qualifies, and that's Reggie Bush.
He's on my list.
Reggie Bush,
he absolutely
Reggie Bush is probably
qualifies.
1A for many people. I view Reggie Bush, maybe I romanticize him, but when you look at his numbers, he's just not as good in the NFL as I remember him being. Like, I just remember being better than he was. He was in a crowded backfield for, 5 years in New Orleans? Mm-hmm. He had 3,000-yard seasons, but he never had more than 6 rushing touchdowns. I mean...
he was never a superstar.
But this is where you have to, kind of compare it. Like, Reggie Bush, when he left college, you thought he would be, again... we thought Darren McFadden would be good. Reggie Bush, people were mad they didn't take Reggie Bush number 1.
It was the biggest deal in sports when the Saints announced they were, the Texans announced they were taking the edge rusher,
Mario Williams, instead of Vince Young or Reggie Bush.
And everyone was like, "What the fuck are they doing?
Yeah,
what the fuck are they doing?"
He's in New Orleans Saints Hall of Fame.
I mean,
he was good.
I remember
he was good, but he was never a transcendent NFL superstar. And if you think he was, think about it for a second, and you realize you're just thinking of everything in college.
No, this is 1,000% a worthy pick.
See,
1,000%.
I don't know.
A star.
I'm on the fence about it, but because McFadden went,
star.
There was a stat that it was.
Carl, what's your take?
He averaged 53 receptions per game or per season his first 8 seasons. He averaged over 200 touches.
I'll accept the veto
per season.
On him.
No, there's no veto.
Absolutely. I have enough guys.
No. I think this is right on the line. Like, he was very good, but I agree that you wanted and you thought and expected that Reggie Bush would come in and be
Barry Sanders.
Never led the league in any category except for punt return. He had 3 punt return touchdowns.
Probably the coolest thing was when he went to Miami and he was still kind of cool with Miami.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do remember hearing a stat. It was either his first 2 or 3 years. Nobody had more receptions their first 2 he had more catches his first 2 years than Jerry Rice. So he was a very dynamic player. But I do agree. He's a god in college.
Right.
I wasn't going to be the first to take someone around, but McFadden was enough where I'm I think he qualifies.
Oh, he definitely qualifies.
Yeah. There's layers to this.
Now I'm going to go, because my next guy, I'm going to go to a guy who definitely qualifies, who I almost went, I don't want to spoil. I almost went, I'll say what I almost did, because I may get that guy. I'm going to go, sorry, Lions fans. He was on the cover of ESPN magazine, I think, before he got drafted. Big receiver. I do believe he passed, which I didn't want to take any dead people, but rest in peace. Charles Rogers.
On my list.
Charles Rogers. I thought Charles Rogers. I'm not even I sound like a Lions
Excellent
fan.
pick.
I thought Joey Harrington and Charles Rogers were going to be the greatest QB and receiver combo in the history of the NFL. And Rogers, he was unreal.
He was unstoppable in college. He was unstoppable.
One game I remember, Iowa beat the shit out of him, but they had like 3 guys on him like Hornets, and he couldn't get off the line.
I think Jeff Smoker was his quarterback.
Yeah, Jeff Smoker. Yep.
And
Fuck.
Jeff Smoker was a quarterback.
What a fucking name.
And
But
he got popped for, I want to say, heroin. Don't quote me on that.
He had off the
He
field
had some
issues.
issues.
He had
Yeah.
off the field issues, and he.
But
Talking about Rogers?
No, Jeff Smoker.
I think Smoker.
No, Rogers, but Rogers did too.
Did he?
Rogers had
Did he?
8 kids. 8 kids
Ooh.
with 4 different women, it says.
That's tough. But he had this game against Notre Dame. He had 3 touchdowns, and he caught one of them like around the guy. Like the guy's like was fully facing him, and he caught it like toe tap back the end zone, like pinned the ball against the defender's back. And I'm like, this is the greatest wide receiver I have ever seen.
Michigan State stats: 24 games, 2,800 yards, 27 touchdowns,
200 yards a game. Yeah.
Insanity.
Yeah.
That is
Insanity. He was
Yeah.
second overall pick. Something like second or
second
third.
overall pick.
Never did shit. That might be the pick of the draft for me so far.
That was going to be my next pick.
He had this either SI or ESPN cover. I was in 6th grade. I did an art project. I recreated the cover of him. He was like my favorite fucking college football player. I wanted the Browns to get him so bad. Browns were good the year before for some stupid reason. Yeah, he was great. Yeah, Charles Rogers.
15 games played in the NFL.
Crazy that.
Dude, that was the one Matt Millen was just, give me all the receivers.
Yeah, he drafted
Yeah.
4 in a row. Yeah.
And everybody thought that with Joey Harrington, they were going to be like the greatest show on turf at the Silverdome or whatever. Was it Silverdome?
Back then, I
Yeah.
I don't know.
Transition.
when
That was
Ford
around. I think
insane.
01 was the transition to Ford
Okay,
Field.
yeah.
His thing was NFL substance abuse policy.
Yeah.
So does that go into injuries? I don't know.
For
Like,
me,
I don't
for
know.
me,
But still,
no.
I think it's a good
I
pick.
just injuries for me. It's like it's just bad luck. And I'll save my injury guy if he doesn't get picked, which I don't think he will. I'll save him at the end.
number 2 overall pick.
Yeah.
All right, Chief.
I'll go with Michael Floyd. So Notre Dame.
Oh yeah.
What's your
No,
face,
I
Jeff?
didn't know I didn't know when you'd pull you'd break the seal on Notre Dame. That is a good one.
This is the only Notre Dame guy I have. Well, I have one other one, but they're 2 receivers. But Michael Floyd, when he showed up on campus, he was probably like one of the best players on the team, like immediately as a freshman, if I remember correctly. Just an absolute stud wide receiver. They've never really had a guy like that in my lifetime. And he was like, I was like, this guy's going to be unstoppable in the NFL. He's big, he's fast, he's strong, he's got great hands. Like he's another guy who had some off the field issues, and he got a million chances just because he's a freak and just never made it work. I think he might have had like 1 year where he was like halfway decent. Nobody
Michael
likes
Floyd.
the pick.
But see again, for me, I don't know why I thought he would be good. Mm-hmm. So I don't think it's a bad pick at all.
Okay.
I just would pick there's a couple receivers I would have ahead of him. I think it's a good pick actually. He's
Yeah.
a big body.
Yeah.
Big
I don't
body.
think it's bad, but some of these is just going to be like, this was more personal to you.
Yeah.
So you're like,
I think,
Yeah.
that's a good. I think
That's how we frame the draft.
Yeah.
that's a
Yeah.
wide-ranging pick.
that's
though,
what I'm
I will
saying.
say.
Like, I just didn't. I'm not saying you're right or wrong. I just didn't. I didn't have that.
Well, that's also a
experience.
guy like I watched every single game of his college career, and it was just like this guy has it. Like this guy's a jump ball machine. Like he will be able to play in the NFL and be like,
Is there no bigger cheat code for thinking a guy's going to be a legend than he's just tall? like you give me a tall receiver.
Yeah.
Like anytime somebody says someone like the Browns will want to draft X receiver, the first thing I do is go look for height.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's the first. Like that's why. Yeah.
Always
Always
6'5".
Yeah. Always.
Get him.
They had that guy there. But back when Hard Knocks was still really fun and not like a propaganda machine, was the Falcons. They had that guy. They called him Amsterdam. Like Geraldo Bullwine or some shit. That's not his name. I just butchered it bad. I Blake Hoff-powered that one.
I gotta address that. I was
You
thinking of
motherfucker. You
Micah
motherfucker, Jeff.
Hoffpower on the Cubs. Do you remember?
But he was a
Yeah.
tall receiver, and I remember he was not that good in camp on Hard Knocks, but they released him. And I'm like, man, I hope the Browns pick him up just because he was tall. He's a tall guy. That's my benchmark. All right.
All right, Michael Floyd off the board. It's back to me. I'm between a few here, and obviously, like I'm gonna go with one that was like the height of our our draft years, and I think this might get some pushback. But at the end of the way, how hyped this guy was and how he looked, it's just I bought into him, and it's Robert Gallery. I mean, it was. Listen,
Chief and I talked about him
I'm sure you
yesterday.
did, but
Yeah.
Dude, I forgot he existed. Unbelievable pick.
dude, number 2
Yes,
overall, and
yes.
like it wasn't sexy to draft lineman there, but it's like no, but you want this guy. He's sexy. Trust me.
What?
Just
That
do
was
it.
the
Good
first
pick.
year.
Like the long hair.
It was he stuck out at the
tattoos.
draft. It was a memorable draft. It was the first time I ever really got into the draft, and it's the first player I ever heard the word "sure thing."
Yes.
that was the first time I was like, oh, sure thing.
Yes.
Like they said, I remember Kuiper saying like not a sexy pick, but a sure thing.
Yes.
He's like, and I just that'll always stick out to me. And he's a guy who I thought have a like a Joe Thomas like career, like just
Listen.
every year the best.
Listen to this draft, okay? Listen to it. Eli Manning, Robert Gallery, Larry Fitzgerald, Phillip Rivers, Sean Taylor, Kellen Winslow Jr., Roy Williams, D'Angelo Hall.
Dude, there's like 5 Hall of Famers.
That's
in there.
an insane.
Top 10.
And
Top
even
10.
like
Yeah,
one
top
guy's a
8.
complete human garbage piece of shit, but he's
Sean Taylor
and
probably
even
would have gone to the Hall of Fame.
Roethlisberger at 11. Like
Yeah.
there's,
Yeah.
like,
that draft was incredible.
I have a feeling, and I don't want to slander anybody's name that I don't know. I have a feeling Robert Gallery was just absolutely fucking juiced to the gills on steroids. And then, like, because that was like the heart of steroids for sports.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And once he got to the NFL, like,
He was-
kind of like the Michigan State. Who am I thinking of?
Man, he
the other number 2 overall
He
pick.
was. He went to the Packers.
Yeah,
Tony Mandarich.
Tony
Oh, yeah.
Mandarich
Yeah.
just fell off the table.
He was before.
That
He,
was
just had,
Robert
he had this
Gallery.
look
Yeah.
at the draft. Yeah, it was the first time I ever heard. When somebody says "sure thing," I immediately think of Robert Gallery.
That's a
every time.
great fucking
I-
pick. Ed.
regarded as the best lineman to come out of college in years. Like, that's what.
I also feel like Iowa went on this run because he was like the first Ferentz guy. Because I think Ferentz got there in like '99. They had that
Right about then, yeah.
that Brad Banks team, and like he was like the first Ferentz guy. And then Iowa went on this run of putting tight ends and linemen in the NFL.
We had a good
And
team next year. The Brad Banks team was.
They went to the Orange
right?
Bowl.
Yeah.
Yeah, they went to 10-2 or something
Can
like
we
that.
not tip picks, please?
No one's drafting Brad.
I swear to God, he was number 1 on my list, but I knew no one was going to touch him.
Oh, okay.
okay.
Okay,
That's
sorry.
a-
But it's a weird one, so
Okay,
I'll
yeah.
let it slide.
And listen, I know there's
pick.
going to be people jumping in to defend Robert Gallery because he didn't have a horrible career.
He just
If
couldn't.
I can take Reggie Bush, you can take Robert
Correct,
Gallery.
and
Yeah.
he couldn't hack it at tackle, so he
Right,
had to move
he'd
to
be a
guard.
guard.
So he was a
Yep.
solid guard,
Yep.
which you're drafting a fucking tackle.
No
into.
one's
you don't
taking a
want to
guard
guard.
second.
He was
You know
such
what I
a
mean?
sure thing. The Raiders took a lineman in the top 5. Like that's like,
Yeah.
is there more to say on that?
Yes, exactly. Like he was the guy.
We don't
dude.
we don't talk enough about the fact that maybe that's why the Raiders just kept going with wacky picks after that. They're like, fuck this sure thing
Yeah, we're
stuff.
doing
This
it.
doesn't
just get
work.
the fastest guy.
Yeah.
His name is Robert Gallery. Like,
That's
just-
a sweet
yes,
name, too.
exactly.
Yeah.
And how he looked, it was like, oh fuck yeah, I'm down for this. I'm down for that. So stunning. He wasn't. Then it was
Yeah,
as
that's-
decorated
it's a-
as Joe Thomas.
Chief
you know?
and I literally talked about him yesterday
Yeah.
or 2 days ago.
All right, I thought you guys were getting ready to poke holes in it. I was
No,
gonna.
No,
no,
dude,
that's a
that-
great pick.
I mean, that's a perfect pick for this draft.
Yeah,
a
Robert
perfect
Gallery.
pick.
Carl, you're up.
I'd take a receiver a little bit before Charles Rogers, but in the same vein. Charles Rogers was more dominant in college, but he also played with significantly worse players and teammates. And I'm going to make this pick because I still Jeff has the best board, but I think we can compete with Jeff. Reggie Bush is a little weak. I'm sorry, Chief. I don't love Tyler Bray, and I think Robert Gallery kind of weakens Eddie's board a little bit from name brand recognition, which allows me to take a chance here with a guy who doesn't have strong name brand recognition in our generation, but I'm taking Peter Warrick from Florida State.
Yep.
Peter Warrick went fourth overall. Absolute fucking electric show as a receiver. I think he had over 2,000 yards his last 2 years. And again, Florida State, like you're sharing the ball with some of the absolute best
National
position
championship.
like Chris Winke's guy. That national championship against Michael Vick was pretty legit. He played every year. Peter Warrick played. He went out and tried in the NFL. He did not have major character issues. It wasn't like he blew out his fucking legs and couldn't run the routes. Like he tried as hard as he could. He legitimately just was never better than like maybe a second receiver 1 year.
I could not put him on this because I just was not a college football. I couldn't lie and tell you because I just wasn't a college football guy.
So this was
But he is a-
99.
Yeah, like 99, 2000.
Yeah.
And he was the best receiver
was.
on that team.
I love
Punt
a
returner,
guy
too.
who
Yeah.
it's not that he got hurt. It's not that he just didn't have it.
That's my
He
problem with
just
Jason
wasn't.
Hayward. Like Jason Hayward isn't a bad guy. He plays every day and just goes 0 for 4. He just grounds out
Yeah,
to the
he
second
does.
baseman every time. He's a nice guy. He tries hard.
Yeah.
It's like
Loves
Carl
the game.
Pavano. When people are like, Carl Pavano's the worst free agent sign of all time. $50 million. I think he threw like 41 pitches for the Yankees or something. But no, he got hurt. He couldn't fulfill his
Yeah.
contract. It's the guys who go out there trying earnestly to do well.
It's the
and
guy
they
who's in the
suck.
B team from middle school through high school. Like he's
Yeah.
just like, yeah, he can.
He's good.
He's
He's
gonna
fine.
play.
He's a
He's-
nice guy.
Just doesn't have it.
The Bengals drafted him, right?
Yes, 4th overall.
Okay, so then I feel like immediately, right around that same time, they got T.J. Hushmanzada and Ocho Cinco.
Well, you know who was throwing to him first?
Palmer.
Was it Achilles?
Before. Yes, Achilles Smith.
Oh,
Ooh, wow,
Jesus.
that's a fucking name
Achilles,
drop.
I would have guessed that Achilles Smith was washed out by 1999. What year did he get drafted?
98.
98. I was thinking.
I think he was
Achilles
like
Smith
3rd
last
overall in
month.
98.
Yeah. Well, that was like.
Yeah, Achilles was the Tim Couch draft.
So
and
99 then.
Yeah,
Cade-
there's a
Cade
Sports Illustrated
McNown.
cover where he's in a Browns jersey and Tim Couch are in Browns.
Culpepper.
3rd
See,
overall.
Couch,
90.
Couch got hurt. Couch is a guy who was put behind a shit expansion offensive
Yeah.
line.
But he also he had no arm.
Got booed when he got a concussion on Monday Night Football.
Oh,
Jesus.
Have a thicker skull, idiot.
Yeah, he finally is like back and like okay with the Browns, but for a while he was rightfully so not cool with the Browns.
that's an electric draft. I'm sorry. Tim Couch obviously sucked, but after that, you go Donovan McNabb. Okay, Achilles Smith sucks. Edge, Ricky Williams, Torrey Holt, Champ Bailey. Outstanding top 7.
Yeah.
Boom. All right, off the board, Peter Warwick. White Sox, Dave.
Okay, so I just looked up his statistics, and they're not nearly as bad in the NFL as I assumed they were. He actually played. He had a decent career. This might be like the defensive pick. That is kind of the Reggie Bush equivalent. I'm going with Paul Posluszny.
Paul Posluszny was a stud in the NFL
Yeah, he was good right?
for like
Yeah.
years.
Not
He
a
just-
stud.
He could not. He had a couple years where he was.
He had a couple 100 tackle seasons, 16 career sacks.
He just
but
could
I
not
thought,
stay healthy.
I thought he was going to be like
He was so fucking good at Penn State.
at
He
Penn
was.
State.
And
There
that-
was
that nose,
the
that
nose,
was
the bleeding nose.
Oh, he was always bleeding.
And he's got the Polish last name that just reeks linebacker. I was like, this guy is going to be Dick Butkus, Brian Urlacher, Ray Lewis's like man-child, birth child.
He's
going to be a star.
really good for a while.
He was
Yeah.
really
it's
good.
Stud for the
I
Bills,
think
right?
a lot of this for me is probably because he got lost in the Bills. Like that was back when it was not fun to be a Bills fan. Back when no one gave a
They
shit
were
about him
terrible.
prior to Bills. I keep saying Bills Mafia, and then the Jaguars, of course.
One-
Didn't he have a couple years with the Jaguars?
Pro
or-
Bowl.
One Pro Bowl.
He was in the Jets
Yeah,
for a
one
lot
Pro
longer than
Bowl.
I remember him being on the Jets.
Played for 11 years.
I would not have expected
Led the
that
league
at
in
all.
tackles at age 29.
Did he?
Yeah, he had 1 year where he led the league in tackles. But at the same time, like I thought he was going to be a
because I have Bush I can't,
household.
yeah.
I almost feel like this is like a non-vetoable draft because
Yeah, it is kind of
Well,
Yeah.
if you played a snap, it's non-vetoable. Like, what are you going to do? Like, it's,
yeah,
Like, if
but
you
like
just-
Paul Puzzle, yeah,
it's not
'cause
possible.
yeah.
It would only be possible if someone.
I just
I
remember
guess,
watching
like,
him at Penn State and just being enamored with him because, like,
Who do you think of when you think of linebacker superstars? Like I think like
Brian
Luke Kuechly,
Urlacher.
right? Brian Urlacher.
Yeah.
And I, you
Ray
know what?
Lewis.
To be fair, Ray Lewis pauses in that. So I think by those standards, I think that's fine.
I thought he was going to be on like that level
Yeah.
of great linebackers.
and he
Yeah.
was really good. He was
he was fine.
He was not at that level for sure.
A step below. And that,
Yeah.
like I said, that I kind of just took my
yeah. I just have
version of Reggie Bush.
I just have a hard time with taking. Yeah, that's why I didn't love the Bush pick either because it's like that guy played in the league for 11 or 12 years, and to me like and they were both like very
I get
good,
it, for
and
sure.
but it's all subjective. If you're like, well, I thought he was going to be Barry Sanders, I thought he was going to be Brian Urlacher, but to me it's hard to take guys who were like legitimately like tops of their profession in the NFL.
We'll get to that guy when we do honorable mentions, but I did have one I was going to take, and I looked up his stats. I was like, well, I would have gotten torn apart for that one.
All right, Paul P is off the board. Who you got?
I
for
just
your next
love
pick?
it. I think a lot of it has to do with the Polish last name, too. Who do I want to go with here? I'm going to go with Jimmy Clausen. I remember they had, this is back when I started doing the Rivals message boards things. They had a feature on him on ESPN. He was the number one recruit in the country. They called him a 10-year, and granted, this is not apples to apples because this is going into college when he was a high schooler. They said 10-year recruit, like decade, top recruit of the decade. He's going
Mel
to be
Kiper shouldn't be working right now because he said
Yep.
Didn't he say he'd retire if
retire, yeah.
he would retire if he wasn't
I didn't even realize
he's
that.
a guy who
Yep.
who he's if we did this recruits, or you're surprised weren't like the GOAT.
Yeah.
He's a guy who I'd pick there.
They called-
Clausen,
He was
I mean,
still
yeah.
good
he
there
was.
too. Yeah.
They called him the LeBron James of high school quarterbacks.
Yes.
And like he
Did
has
he-
that
I think
famous
he-
douchebag picture with his 4 state championship.
You know why I never thought
ring.
he'd go to the NFL? Because of his fucking hair.
He had terrible hair.
I was like, there's no way that guy with that hair is
Yeah.
going to be that good in the NFL.
And like he, I think he had 2 or 3 older brothers. that
Casey
played-
Clausen.
Yeah, that played
Yeah.
D1 college
He had the
football.
hair of a bad guy from like a late
Yeah.
1990s like teen comedy.
Oh yeah. Like he could have been the starting quarterback.
You know what he
in-
looked like? He looks like the guy who gets
With
not really. The
Varsity
guy didn't have
Blues.
his hair done. Looks like the guy who gets the shit beat out of him. Bad Santa.
How Notre Dame
Thurman
play?
Merman?
The kid who picks
that
on
was
Thurman
like
Merman.
so he came in.
Oh yeah, it kind of does look like that kid.
He came in when after Quinn.
Yeah.
And that was when the wheels started to fall off for Charlie Weiss. So
Yes.
they went 3-9 his first year, and then they had the second year they were like fine. They had they have that. I always talk about it, like the greatest college football performance ever was Jimmy Clausen in the Hawaii Bowl, and like throwing a Golden Tate and some of these guys. They're like this team's gonna be great, and then the next year they lost to UConn, so didn't work out.
His
So-
senior year,
Well,
or
that's
he
what-
went
I think
after
it-
3
yeah,
years.
he left
was-
after his junior
yeah,
year.
His, like stats,
His last year was really
awesome.
fucking
good.
But like at the same time, there was never a point where I was
The
like, "This
team was
guy's
bad.
awesome."
Charlie Weiss also, same. And I watched.
that's why I don't- that's why I don't love it.
The Hawaii Bowl.
My
the Hawaii
my
Bowl.
whole thing, like I said, it was more high school going into college, which
Yeah,
is not this draft.
Because college was like he was
'Cause
never a Heisman
he also-
finalist. Like,
right.
He was never.
And
anything.
he doesn't. He also doesn't look like a prototypical NFL guy. Like he's not 6'4", 6'5" quarterback. He's not super athletic. Like he's kind of. I think he had the name
6'2",
coming out.
210.
Yeah, like he's kind of just like an average, and like arm strength wasn't there. But Charlie Weiss had because he was still thought of as like this guru, like the Brady whisperer, like guru, and he had a quote from his last year. He goes, "Jimmy Clausen did not miss a single read the entire year." So people are like, "Wow, he's Jimmy Clausen, and he's and he's super smart. Notre Dame just sucks," and it was a lot on Jimmy Clausen too.
Who was the other wonder boy that they did? I don't think he went to Notre Dame. He like decommitted. Maybe went to
Yeah, I know Gunnar Kiel.
Gunnar Kiel. Yeah.
Yep.
Gunnar
Cincinnati.
Kiel.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he went
was-
from Notre
yeah.
Dame for a year to LSU, and then I think to Cincinnati.
Yeah, I think so.
They
That was around.
loved
There's another
him
guy
on
around
the
that
Rival
time
Sports.
who you want to. This is a different draft. Again,
Yeah.
my number one guy who I thought would be the greatest QB in the history of college football is Ryan Perrilloux. It's another guy.
Yeah.
Why do I remember that name?
He
Ryan
was another
Perrilloux.
guy. Yeah.
Where'd he go? It's French.
Perrilloux.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he went to LSU. I think he's
Yep.
maybe supposed to go to
Okay.
Texas, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I may have that wrong.
All right, Jimmy Clausen off the board. Carl, you're up.
I don't want to call us a pick of the draft, but I mean, he wasn't in my board when I did the research. He just came to my mind right now. Jadeveon Clowney. I thought Jadeveon Clowney would be getting 18 fucking sacks a game. He's
'Cause
never gotten
the
double-digit
Michigan play.
sacks.
Yeah,
He's got
absolutely.
41 sacks in his career. He's been in and out, some injuries, scheme stuff, but like he had a bigger, better season this year for the Browns. But like now you're playing opposite Myles Garrett. He was a bigger name. I know Myles Garrett was awesome, but like Jadeveon Clowney was by far the biggest pass rushing prospect of my life, by far.
Yeah.
And he
I-
couldn't do shit with the Texans. Not when they had fucking Phillips dialing up the stuff and Merciless and Watt on the other end. Like, I just don't understand why Jadeveon Clowney can't play in the NFL like every down and be successful.
He's got nothing between the ears. And like, remember the old Les Miles quote? It was about Gunnar Kiel. Some guys just don't have the chest that you need. I feel like that's Clowney. If you remember, like his last year, he was like, I don't really. He was like the first guy like would just opt out of games. Like he just wouldn't play.
I've become a big defender of him because Stephen Shea said he stinks, and I said he doesn't stink. He's just not a superstar. He's not. He was really good for the Browns last year. He's a great run stopper. Gets a lot of pressure, doubled, doesn't quite get to the quarterback like you think he would. I think it's a great pick because like after the Michigan hit, you're like, oh my god,
what is this guy
life
gonna
peaked
do?
then. Yeah.
And he's part of the generation where they're making it easier and easier for these guys to get to the quarterback.
Yeah, I mean,
the whole premise is
right.
him getting to the quarterback. He was the consensus number one pick for as long as you can be a consensus number one pick.
He falls into the Reggie Bush. I mean, he made 3 Pro Bowls, but like he thought he would be better. He thought he'd be a star.
Yeah,
I
would
Pro
even
Bowls
put him-
for me at this
I'd
point.
even put him before Bush. Like I think he's even like I don't think Clowney's fringe. Like I think Bush. Like I admit it, is a fringe pick here. Clowney, I think Clowney is not a superstar,
don't
and I would
know.
say
Reggie Bush, everyone thought
most
he was
people
awesome.
dump on Clowney. I think to an unfair point because I think he's been very productive, but not like number 1 overall pick.
Like he doesn't. You shouldn't need this much time and this much circumstance to get to be productive.
Right.
Like he based on the billing, he
He's-
should have come out of the box and like had 12
Signing
sacks for the
1-year
Texans.
deals,
Yeah.
like that's just not
Crazy.
Yeah,
I think it's a great pick.
And there's not and I could be way wrong here.
That's the
but
closest I've
for
felt to it.
a defensive end.
That's good.
I
I
don't
think-
think there's a lot of seasoning you need. If you're a stud in college, you pretty much are a stud in the NFL.
I just don't.
And those guys to fall off the table like that.
there's a couple. There's another one who I'm not going to pick because when I did my tweet, he was like the number 3rd most used guy behind Bush and Peter Warrick. So I won't say him, but there's a couple of those DNs like that who are like linebacker DN tweeners too, who can really play both positions. There's another guy who I won't say him. Not on my list.
I just really think we're discounting the Reggie Bush pick. Like, dude, people were screaming at the Texans for not drafting.
Yeah.
him. Screaming
Yeah.
at them.
Yeah.
How could you do that? Sure thing.
I also
How-
think his off the field stardom
Sorry.
blurs it a little bit too. He dated a fucking Kardashian. Like,
Yeah.
I think that blurs it for Bush. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, Jadeveon Clowney, good pick off the board. It's to me. You said it earlier. I'm happy nobody took it. But, I mean, that 1-2 tandem of Leinart and Mike Williams,
Yeah.
I remember being so fucking
I
mad.
thought I was going to
Mike
get him.
Williams.
Where you were going to take him?
I thought I was going to get him.
Look at his stats. His stats are better than Charles Rogers.
He's a guy who ate himself out of the league, I think.
Stinky combine numbers, like
Like a
alarmingly
4.8
bad.
or something,
But
right?
remember that one, like the one-handed catch in the back of the end zone?
He
Yes.
was
Yes.
You if you had somebody playing with USC in college football
They just throw
video
it outside.
game, you just
His
you
speed
wouldn't
was
wanna play
only
him.
90 though, so it sucked. But they
He's
had a
just
couple of
so
receivers that
big.
were all 6'5". You could throw deep post to him, and the game was awesome.
So he slipped my mind completely. I think that's a great pick. And when I think of those USC teams, I think Dwayne Jarrett. Like I think Dwayne Jarrett first, but Mike
That's a great
Williams.
one,
Mike Williams was like an unbelievable superstar in college.
Yes.
Like, and wasn't he like he was
did-
so good? He tried to do the Maurice
After,
Claret.
yeah, Claret set the. Then he had to sit out a year, and that
Right.
hurt him as well.
Yep.
And it's also a very personal pick because I remember sitting there for that draft. The Bears had, I think it was the 4th pick, just begging the Bears. We had no wide receivers, just begging them to take him, and we went with Cedric Benson.
Yep.
And I was so
Is this
fucking.
your pick?
No.
Took Mike Williams.
What do you do?
Never mind. Sorry.
What?
Sorry,
I'm. Go ahead.
sorry for running out again.
White Sox Dave
Going
locked
through
in.
that. Williams, I meant. I
While
wanted to
you're
say-
tipping picks here,
I heard you say it though, but I believe, I may be wrong. Mike Williams left early
Yeah,
while
we-
the Claret,
Yes.
while the Claret thing. Did you mention that while it was being in the court?
Yep.
So
Yeah.
he risked it,
You're right.
and then it didn't work.
Didn't work.
So he had
Yep.
to wait because
Yeah.
Claret went supplemental.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, he didn't go supplemental.
he got drafted.
He was
Yeah.
a compensatory pick.
Right.
Yeah.
He was announced at the stage, but yeah, he risked it. He was so good. The video game is what I think of Mike Williams
Yeah.
the most. If anyone played UFC, you're like, I'm not playing with them.
But he did have like I have that one touchdown just burned into my brain. I don't even know if it was Palmer or Leinart that threw it to him, but he was just like
Yeah.
and like
It was
just stuck
Leinart.
to his hand. It
that
was
run
Leinart.
of
Yeah.
receivers by the
Yeah.
line is like some of the greatest draft shit of all
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
pulling like a.
I mean, it's just
Beckham just.
Yeah.
Like it's
he
a
was-
Nerf ball.
Like it just made no sense that he was never. I mean, he had one decent year with the Seahawks. I looked it up, but he just besides that nothing.
I feel like when he was with the Lions was when he got up to like 270 pounds.
I forgot.
Yeah, he
that
became a
happened.
fat.
I didn't know that
Yeah.
happened.
And I remember though at the combine, I want to say he ran like a 4.8 or something. Like it was just. I hate using this term, but it was like booty.
Booty.
I could be wrong there too, but that's what sticks out to me.
I'm happy to get it. I was worried once you said it earlier that I was like, oh
You-
fuck,
yeah.
this is not gonna bode well for
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
But no, I'm happy to have Mike Williams. He was. I really
he was
thought
my
he was
next
gonna be
pick.
awesome. Oh, was he? Okay, good. It makes me feel better too. Chief.
All right, I'm going to wide receiver in that same time frame. It's going to be our first Bear. It's David Terrell. David Terrell, he was cool. He was swag at Michigan. And then, the Bear, he came in with the Bears. I think it was like the 01 draft. And I want to say by like 05 or 06, like he was out of football.
Maybe even earlier than that.
Maybe even earlier. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like I want to remember like because he played with Brady at Michigan. I think he might have had like a training camp invite to the Patriots and just couldn't catch on there. But he was a top 10 pick, right? Like 6 or 7 overall, something
Yeah,
like that.
7.
He was awesome in college.
Yep.
And I remember being like, oh fuck, like here the Bears
8. Sorry.
8. And it was one of those picks where I'm just like, this is going to be the guy. And like you're saying, you were begging the Bears to
Bagging.
to draft the wide receivers because I think Terrell had already flamed out.
Yeah, he fucked us over.
Yeah.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
I wanted Mike Williams so bad. But sorry, David Terrell, I mean,
Yeah.
I don't remember him much in college, but
I do.
I do too, yeah.
He was I never had that. I think this is more bust than having that feeling, if you know where I'm getting at.
Well, I think
because I
there-
never really had that feeling for him watching him in Michigan.
But
Like,
you might
he
have
is
been a
bound
little
for yeah, that's true too.
because that was like my middle school,
Yeah.
middle
I
school,
remember
early
for
high
sure, for
school
sure.
guy. But I mean, if you look at I'll try to pull up his college stats because he was an All-American, Orange Bowl MVP. So like that was the Orange
He
Bowl.
couldn't catch for his life. He had the
Was that
worst
the
hands I've
problem?
ever seen in my entire life on an NFL
Classic
receiver.
college to NFL receiver problem. There's
He-
another guy on my list who had stone hands. He was badass too, and he dropped down the board.
I mean, his junior year at Michigan, he only did 3 years there, but having almost 1,000 yards and 13 touchdowns in 11 games in college is pretty fucking impressive. And like that Orange Bowl, like I remember that Orange Bowl like vividly. He was unstoppable. They played Alabama, and Michigan won, I want to say in overtime because Alabama missed an extra point. And they won like 35-34. But it was all David Terrell. It was
Just one-man show?
Brady to Terrell, and it was just like automatic. And yeah, and the Bears like saw that game obviously too, drafted him 8th overall, and it's a tale as old as time.
Here's something for you. I don't remember Brady at Michigan at all.
Yes, that's another like I got a few
Yeah,
years
that's
on
for me.
you.
That's the years
Yeah.
thing. I do not.
See, like I want to say like when I really remember watching college football, it was that 97 Michigan.
I was 99.
David
Because I'm going to take him my last pick. I was
okay.
99.
Okay.
So that makes sense. We're a couple years. Yeah.
all right, David Terrell off the board. Jeff, you're back up.
This is it, right?
You get 2, so yeah.
This sucks because there's a guy I'll say there's 2 guys who I should take, but I can't not take my last guy because he is my favorite.
He's your guy.
He's my favorite.
He's your Tyler Bray.
I don't know how this is. He's not the this was the next Ed Reed, but he's my last pick because he should be my last pick. My next guy, this sucks. This sucks. I'm gonna go. You know what? Because I have a theme here, except for Bush of like middle school shit. I'm going Byron Leftwich. Byron Leftwich.
For sure.
What him getting carried on the
Yep,
field.
yep.
He was another guy who I wish the Browns had Byron Leftwich. I thought he was gonna be amazing. MAC quarterback, just this big guy. You're like, this guy's gonna dominate. This guy, I remember saying, this is like he's gonna be the next Dante Culpepper. Probably some like ignorant comment I made as a middle schooler. I thought he was gonna be so fucking good. Gonna be a great head coach.
I mean,
one day, it seems,
MAC
by the way.
quarterbacks, like to this day, they don't get a lot of love. Obviously, there's the
I'm
exceptions
gonna
to the
name
rules.
another one later on, but yeah.
And he got a ton of love that year.
I just hope that was
ton
the
of
right. I
love.
hope that was the right pick because I passed
So-
on someone who's amazing.
So, he was on my list because from doing research. Okay, I forgot that he was drafted 7th overall.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Like I did not like
Bad situation, a bad Jaguars team.
Yeah, I think it was him. Like they went to the playoffs once, right? With him and David Garrard kind of
But Garrard was the guy, right? Like that's when Garrard was their
yeah.
guy.
Did he?
They played in New England, I think, the year that New England went undefeated.
No, it was before.
Was it before that?
was
I might be wrong on years.
I remember being at a wedding and that Patriots Jaguars game being on, and then that was the year that I think that was the Steelers won it in 05.
That
Yeah.
might have been. Yeah,
Yeah.
I remember. Leftwich is he's just one of those. Though he's less than like he was good in college, so it's not like.
Yeah,
Like, there's another
Oh, yeah.
there's another scrawny QB I'm thinking of who's amazing, but like if I was older, I would have never thought he'd be good in the NFL. But I did think he was at that.
I think I know who you're
Yeah.
talking about.
Old fucking long white sleeves. All right,
Maybe
Leftwich,
I
my guy.
don't.
My
Okay.
last guy, I'm going Notre Dame. He's a badass. I just thought
I
he
know
was
you're
going to be
going.
the coolest fucking defensive player in NFL history. Tom Zibikowski. I
Oh,
don't know
this is a
why.
great one.
I don't know why. Good boxer, right?
Yeah,
Golden Gloves.
He boxed at the Allstate or
He
the UIC
almost
Pavilion
had almost had one of the worst moments, though I don't know, replay wasn't there, so it would have counted. One of the worst moments in Notre Dame history. He picked off Troy Smith in the
Yep.
Fiesta Bowl, and he dropped it like 2 yards for the end zone, and they're getting called back. He had a pick six against Iowa, would have turned the game. But
They were
Zibikowski,
never in that game.
No.
Yeah.
It got close at one point.
I thought they lost like 35 to.
It got close at one
Okay.
point, and then Ohio State. That
Dude,
was
the
the year.
Bears signed
That was
him?
the year before the Ohio State went
Yeah,
undefeated
you
and lost
remember
to
that?
Florida. Zibikowski just had that name. It was the Z. It's
Yeah.
the name. A lot of these guys, it's names.
Yeah.
Polish.
And
Polish
like-
last name plays for defensive player.
He also had like an iconic moment. Like if it wasn't for the Bush push, the most memorable play of that game would be Zibikowski's punt return.
He was two-way, well, not a two-way guy,
But a
but
punt, like a
special
legitimately
teams guy,
awesome punt returner.
defensive guy, badass name, looked cool on the field. I thought he was going to be
Suburbs
this
guy.
and he was never even. He wasn't even like.
Did he play for the Colts for a
Yeah.
minute?
He was like.
Yeah.
When was he even drafted? I didn't look it up because I didn't. He was
went
like one of the guys I
undrafted?
didn't look up because
Okay.
I didn't need to because I was going to take him no matter what. Yeah, I thought Tom Zibikowski was. Him and Joey Harrington are my 1A, 1B of like forever guys who I thought when I watched him in college that this is going to be a guy who's around forever.
I spoke at a thing at my high school this summer, and Zibikowski was in the crowd, and someone was like, "Hey, Zibs is here." I was like, oh, fuck.
What was he doing at a
Made me a little more nervous.
Pets?
Our president,
third round
our president played with him.
Okay,
the other day.
okay.
Yeah.
Didn't even look it up because
Yeah.
he was nothing.
He was a third.
great.
See, that's like high.
86 overall by the Ravens.
I
in
did just pass
2008.
on somebody though who is.
The honorable
Zibikowski
mentions
was
are
a
going to be
good
good for
quarterback
this
in
one.
high school. Really big quarterback
Yeah.
in high school.
Interesting. The one thing I knew was he was a good boxer.
So you're 33 too, right?
I'm 31.
31. Okay, I'm 33. I was an 07 high school grad, so right when I was like really getting into my sports fandom where I knew stats from every sport, which is not the case anymore. He was like the guy. I thought he was going to be
He's just
like,
awesome.
I was like Notre Dame, like he's from a couple towns over from me. I was like, that's the fucking guy right
He would
there.
knock
and I
guys out,
hated
too.
Notre Dame.
He was
He was like a
great
mean
player.
animal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm happy. Only
I
guy
loved
I
him.
missed here was Mike Williams. I got a couple. I got a laundry list.
But yeah,
I'm
if
excited
I-
for honorable mention.
If I was 33 watching, I'd be like, oh yeah, like late round flyer on him. Maybe he can be a special teams guy.
I'm pleased. Zibs.
Zips.
He's in the crowd at Eddie's event. I love that.
It was. I tensed up a little bit when I heard Zibikowski was there.
I'm sure.
Yeah, it was
it's
like, oh,
intimidating.
fuck, yeah,
Mike
yeah.
Tyson just punched that guy in the plane like Eddie pisses off Zibikowski. They just start punching Eddie.
Yeah, I was a little nervous. Try to bring him up on stage. All right, Chief, you're up.
I'm between three. I guess I'll go with a guy who was. I swear it was just injury that prevented him, but Dennis Dixon. We've talked about him on another
Oregon, right?
Bad,
Oregon.
bad injury.
Bad knee injury, but then
Season ruining injury.
but tried to play on it because they were in a national championship hunt, and I think he like had maybe a couple years with the Steelers, but never really did anything. But I remember thinking he was like, oh, this guy's way better than Joey Harrington. Like he was electric, runner, all the things, unstoppable in the NCAA video game too. Like he was a freak in that game. And I was just like, he's going to be the next guy. Like it's going to be Dennis Dixon. And that was like that time frame where they're getting a lot of these more like mobile quarterbacks were really becoming a thing in the NFL. Vic had been drafted, McNabb had been, established as a, star, Culpepper, et cetera. And I thought Dennis Dixon was next in line for that. So
bad injury.
Bad.
Ruined their season.
yeah.
Dennis Dixon, White Sox Dave, what do you think?
It's a throwback for sure. I never got that feeling, but like
Oregon
like
guys
we
are
said-
great for that because they look cool in college.
Yeah.
Looked cool in college, and it was like
HDTV
That
was
has
coming
passed
out.
us a bit though. The
Primetime
Oregon,
TV,
once they finally got to a national title. Well, no, because they
they went to 2, I think.
lost to Auburn, lost to Cam Newton.
yeah,
Je-
and then did they lose?
Jeffrey Mail, their big white.
Yeah,
line.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
you say whatever you want about Oregon. The second Chip Kelly left, it's
They-
just gone.
they
It was
got-
just gone.
they
Like,
got
I know that the
significantly less
assistants are
gold.
there,
No, that's
and
completely true.
whatever Mark Herbert or whatever.
Helfrich.
Helfrich, that's a guy, but
former Bear.
No,
offensive
that's
coordinator.
he
It was
big
Helfrich.
lame downgrade. Yeah,
Yeah,
Willie Taggart.
Oh, yeah. That didn't.
Taggart.
Right, worked there, and then he did not work at Florida State.
No.
All right, Dennis Dixon off the board. That was a dozen trivia question for you one time, right? Or maybe for
Dixon
us.
might have been.
I know
don't
it
know.
was.
The most guest player in the history of the dozen is LaMichael James, though, which I do believe Chief
That was
may account for
definitely-
most of the guesses.
but and I don't think I've gotten one right.
he was an
I-
answer recently. I think.
yeah,
All right, it's to me. I'm interested how you guys are going to take this pick, but I stand by it because I really thought this guy was going to be the fucking truth. Was Dallas Carter, one of the best catches, Texas Tech. I'm going with Michael Crabtree.
He was all right though.
Never made
28 career touchdowns.
Never made a Pro Bowl, and I know like
Really?
Dave's already. Yes, that's shocking. That's shocking.
That is shocking.
Shocking.
His
He hung around. He was a contributor, but like Michael Crabtree at Texas Tech was
He was a freak.
unbelievable.
He was a freak.
Yeah,
They almost-
video game cover again.
they
Yeah.
almost won the national championship.
Yeah.
Like they went. Where they go 11-1.
Remember that catch?
Yeah, down the sideline.
Yes, versus Texas.
I am shocked.
Yes.
Shocked
Yes.
at looking at because I even in the NFL, like he was. I always thought he was good.
Sorry ass receiver like
Well,
Michael
that's the thing. He had
Crabtree.
that year. He had the year where the Niners were really
Yeah.
fucking good.
Yeah.
Where he it was like,
But
oh,
even then, he
And then
had
Sherman-
1,100 yards and 9 touchdowns, which is a great year, but not like.
Only over 1,000.
Remember
Twice.
they just collected a bunch of first rounders who didn't work in other teams, and that was the year that
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, iconic Illinois receiver on San Francisco played like we had one catch. AJ
Yeah,
Jenkins.
yeah. AJ Jenkins was
one,
great.
one career catch.
First
yeah.
round pick. That was the worst first round pick of all time.
But then they collected bad first round pick didn't pan out, and Crabtree was good there. But that's a good pick. Yeah, that's one where you look up the stats. You're right. It's
He
like,
wasn't a bust, but like what he did in college, 2-time wide receiver of the year.
He's
and
got 54 career touchdowns.
He was
7,500 yards.
Yeah. I guess I went in a way different direction on this draft. Like
Do you-
you're like I have like no name recognition on my draft.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's I think that's
That's
fine.
fine.
I don't
Yeah.
think anyone's right or wrong. It just
Yeah.
depends what you say. And like I just thought, I mean, Harvin. I looked it up. Harvin and Macklin went after him, and Harvin played a lot less, so the stats weren't comparable. But Macklin's stats were like right there with him.
Yeah.
So,
Ed needs to suspend himself because Macklin's on my list.
oh, sorry. Well, I mean, if you're
That's
going to
fine.
suspend me, I wasn't the first one to open the
No,
can of
there-
worms.
there
There
was-
was,
But
there was a
it's fine
wild
for this
there was a
draft.
wild story about Jeremy Macklin within like Philadelphia like writer rumor universe. I don't know if anyone here's ever heard.
Do
of it.
share.
No.
I don't
Please
even know if
share.
I want to say it on here.
Oh wow.
Is it like
It's
cancelable?
Yeah,
or-
and I just like I don't want to say the rumor, but if you're listening and you know what I'm talking about.
interesting?
I'll
Well,
say-
you
it's
gotta
like,
tell us,
He didn't do
like-
anything bad.
We'll talk after. I mean, he'll tell us after. I'm sure.
Yeah, I'll tell you after. It was
Yeah,
like
alright,
it was
nice.
like I was at Penn State at the time. I was like, what? That's
Really?
what? Like why he wasn't playing? I was like, that's the reason. And it ended up not being true. It was really weird. Very weird. I'll say it
yeah.
after. It's just like it's so like, huh? That I don't want to say it. Yeah.
Michael Crabtree. Yeah,
Like, I want
almost
this
2,000
clipped.
years, 2,000 yards in one of the seasons at Texas Tech.
Brent Musburger, great call.
Carl.
I'm throwing my whole board out. I just had another one come to mind. It's happened with me with Jadeveon
I
Clowney.
did
and,
that
like,
with Clausen.
my board sucks compared to what I'm coming up with on the spot here, guys. I don't know how. I thought this guy was legit. Obviously, fucking Heisman finalist. He had one really, really good year, his second year in the league, and ever since then, he's like a joke. He's become a legitimate backup quarterback. I don't know how it happened. I'm taking Marcus Mariota. Marcus Mariota, out of Oregon, like, decision maker, athlete. Can move a little bit, but he's good enough where he doesn't have to run, accurate, throws a deep ball. And then he had 26 touchdowns against like 5, 6, or 7 picks his second year in Tennessee. And literally, if you look at his numbers from his second year to now, it's like it's two completely different players. And it wasn't, I mean, I know you get banged up playing quarterbacks and big hits and shit, but like he's got years he took the field for the Titans.
He was
and just fucking sucks.
He was a tank for this guy type QB. Maybe not to the level of Andrew Luck or Robert. Like he wasn't like but like Eagles. Like remember the Eagles were like Eagles fans wanted him so bad. It's like paramanship. Like there was I feel like people like were like, oh, let's tank for Mariota. Like,
I
he
never
was,
liked him.
I never
Really?
liked him.
Yeah,
Really?
I
like his
never
arm
felt.
talent.
He had a weird motion. I was
Yeah.
never.
I thought
thought
he
he
was
had a
going
rag
to be
arm.
good.
You guys didn't like him, but a lot of NFL teams did.
For
Wow.
sure.
Who was right?
But
Who
no,
was
no, no,
right?
it's not. It's
I
not that
thought
I
he was
didn't
gonna
like
be-
him.
yeah.
It's not that I didn't like him, but I didn't watch him at Oregon and be like, wow, that guy's gonna be a fucking star.
Yeah.
Whoever
He
gets him
was
is
recent
set.
enough. I want to see if I can
I would-
search my name and see if I had any takes on him. Because what year did he get drafted?
14, 15?
He's a guy. He doesn't.
2015
He,
behind
but
Jameis
even if you didn't think he was
Winston.
good, though, would you agree that he doesn't get comparative to where like other quarterbacks go in the draft? He does not get nearly enough. Like
No, he doesn't.
April 30th, 2015. Barstool Chief. Mariota is a bum. I don't know what everyone's getting all worked up for.
All right.
If you take Mariota in the first 2 days of the draft, this is 2015, you're a dope. So
I gotta walk back what I just said. Ed, can you read this for me?
Mariota's gonna quote tweet you, Chief. Be like, yeah, you thought Tyler Bray would be good.
Dave's tweet with the first pick in the
Well,
2015.
when was it?
From October 26, 2014, with the first pick in the 2015 NFL Draft. The Chicago Bears select Marcus Mariota, Roger Goodell, hopefully.
all right.
There you
Yikes.
go.
But maybe I'm
He
just
was-
confusing
man, I
like
don't-
watching him play.
Yeah, I think it's just like I think some people liked him. I think obviously Chief didn't like him, but Dave, you probably liked him at the time. I mean, again, the numbers.
He does have a fucking
His first
shitty
2
arm.
years in the league, like justify him getting drafted as high as he did. Like you look after his second year and you're like, all right, this
Maybe
guy
that's
could
what
actually be
saved
very
him, right?
fucking good.
Players who are drafted after number 1 get significant. He was number 1, right?
2.
Yeah.
2.
Behind
Oh.
Winston.
Yeah, Jameis.
Oh, right,
Yeah.
right. All right, so maybe I take, but people still were like,
Yeah.
we want like Mariota Winston was like that was a haul. Like those were 2 like lock picks. He still doesn't get, even people that picked after 2 get more shit than he gets.
So I have another
Yeah, he
tweet.
doesn't get any shit.
yeah.
I have another tweet here, and I remember like Big Cat being on G Chat with Big Cat and him being like actually angry with me. But I remember because I have this tweet from April 30th, 2015, saying that, I'd rather have Cardell Jones than Mariota. But the point was like I'd rather take Cardell Jones in the 5th round and have a top 5 pick for whatever else.
I can relate to that as a Browns fan.
Yeah,
to that
then
thought before.
draft Mariota because I just always thought he sucked. But Heisman,
Oregon,
all
too.
that stuff. Oregon,
That
yeah,
was right after that is when Oregon I think just stopped. It lost its lust a little bit.
And here's the thing: you could like him, but there's no difference like between like, oh, I love that guy. I really was high on him.
I thought he was like
I liked him. I
I
didn't
thought
love
he
him.
was Eric Crouch. Like that's really,
Really?
what I thought he was more. I thought he was closer to Eric Crouch than like a legit NFL guy.
So if you look at his numbers statistically in the NFL, they're actually pretty good. They're actually pretty
He's
good.
he's in a weird like
His career TD to interception
Good
is
backup.
very good. 77 to 45. He's a career 63%. He's almost around a career 500 starter. Like there's just looking at the composite, you're like this guy should be all right. He should be in charge
that
of an
one play
NFL
where he-
franchise.
where
he hasn't been for 5 years.
Where is he
They've been
now?
Like you're not. He was with the Raiders last year as a backup to Derek Carr.
I remember.
I
Is
just
he
never
back with them?
understood. No, he's back with the Falcons now.
right.
Yeah, I knew he got.
He's
traded,
like
yeah.
their guy.
So I think I don't know if he's our guy, but he's
he might be
definitely
their
gonna
guy now.
in the mix.
Because I think they're
Unless they pick
well,
someone.
Matt. Unless he. But then even still, he'd probably start the year at least.
Didn't he throw a touchdown pass to himself in the playoff game?
Yes.
His three got
Like a
batted
touch-
down.
Yeah. I also just think it's a tough look when you get replaced by a guy who got replaced. Like, so Tannehill comes in there. Tannehill's been like very, very solid for them. But like Tannehill was kind of written off as like this guy.
He's their guy
Yeah.
because
Called a bum.
Felipe Franks is their only other quarterback. So I mean,
Yeah, that's another guy. I fucking hate Felipe Franks.
wow. So
Many people
Florida?
do not like Felipe. Felipe Frank gets a lot of shit on Twitter.
That's one of those guys where I it's gambling related for
So
me.
he's
Yes.
not dead
Yeah.
yet. He's not dead yet.
He's not dead. That's a. He's
Well,
a sneaky pick there, 5th round. I had obviously a couple others, but that's
He is.
so we're to Mr.
No,
Relevant now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Mr. Relevant, White Sox Dave.
This is so. Hold on, I got to look up what place he finished in the Heisman.
I want you to take the 5-time Pro Bowler.
I'll get to him right next because it's my last pick. All right, I'm going with Damian Anderson out of the Northwestern University. So this is when I first started going to Northwestern
Is
games.
this like the Rose Bowl running back?
Yes. Oh no, not Rose Bowl running back. He was after that. That was Darnell Autry, who was on the cover of Sports Illustrated and had a pretty decent NFL career. I don't remember him as quite as much.
Okay.
Damian Anderson, he was 98-99 season. He was, and this was back when Northwestern was winning with like gadget offenses, 50 to 50 or
Michigan
55
game.
to 50 games because they couldn't play defense. They had no athletes. Damian Anderson stood out like a man amongst boys against other Big Ten schools. Like he looked like he should be playing for Ohio State. He looked like he should be playing for the Bamas of the world. A freak of nature from Wilmington, Illinois. He had 2,000 rush yards his junior year. Senior year, completely fucking tore up his leg. And now he's actually, I want to say, the radio guy for the Arizona Cardinals. Had a cup of coffee with them. I thought that his junior year was the best running back display I have ever seen in my entire life. He finished second in running back votings. Well, it went LaDainian Tomlinson won the Heisman. And then there's 2 other finalists. Damian Anderson was 4th that year.
That's all American.
And he was a fucking freak at Northwestern. Obviously, it's a personal pick for me. I thought he was going to have a 10-year, reign of dominance in the NFL. Never did shit. And that's Damian Anderson. You guys remember? You're probably too
Yeah, he
young.
was sweet.
Yeah.
He was sweet.
You remember him?
Yeah, him and Zach Kustok.
Yep, Zach Kustok, Notre Dame transfer. That's when
Personal
I
pick.
fell in love.
Personal pick.
Yeah, personal
Personal
pick.
pick.
Love a
Fell
personal
in
pick.
love.
No
with
Mike Kafka at the end there?
Personal
Who was
pick.
your 5th round pick, Jeff?
He was after that.
Zibikowski.
I'll run through it right now since we're done. We'll do honorable mentions. We'll get out of here. Jeff Joey Harrington, Reggie Bush, Charles Rogers, Byron Leftwich, Tom Zibikowski, Chief, Trent Richardson, Tyler Bray, Michael Floyd, David Terrell, Dennis Dixon, Eddie, Matt Leinart, Darren McFadden, Robert Gallery, Mike Williams, Michael Crabtree, Carl, Brady Quinn, Eric Crouch, Peter Warwick, Jadeveon Clowney, Marcus Mariota. Remember Roger Goodell did that? Sorry. White Sox Dave, Dwayne Haskins, Percy Harvin, Paul Polzinski, Jimmy Clausen, Damian Anderson.
Puzzlesny.
You like super Polishized. you added, you made it.
Well,
even.
we talked about being Polish so much. Polzinski, sorry. Jeff, let's start with you. I mean,
I got a list.
We'll start with
you.
you.
My injured guy, by the way, Marcus Lattimore. Wasn't fair to say.
Loved it.
Just
Yeah.
like brutal leg injury. Not fair to you can't be surprised. Like that's not a surprise he wasn't good. He got hurt right away.
Yeah. It was actually a surprise he got drafted.
Yeah, because that's how good he was.
He was unstoppable. Like that was like the golden era of because I got another.
I'll
guy
rip
from
him quick. Taylor Mays, USC.
Yeah.
Great one.
Stud.
Who's out
That's
there
a
with
great pick.
He's a very dangerous player.
Yeah.
This guy was he ended up getting drafted. He was number one on mock drafts for a couple years and then just wasn't. Taj Boyd. Scooby Wright the third, great name, nothing. George Selvey, South Florida, another guy, was top of the board for years, nothing. Aaron Curry was a sure thing. Aaron Curry was a
Wake
sure
Forest
thing linebacker,
Yep.
nothing.
He was drafted like 4th overall too.
I think Sammy Watkins is Sammy Watkins.
That's a great
He
one.
was on my list.
He's still like,
But he's still kicking it. He's
Still
like
good.
No, Sammy Watkins was
Justin
supposed to be
Blackman
so
is
much
superstar.
better.
Yeah, Justin Blackman.
Justin Blackman was
yeah,
so big.
Well, yeah.
A guy who
Okay,
I thought they'd rename the kicker award after this guy, but he stuck around for years. I want to take him, Mike Nugent.
That's a great
I
call.
thought Mike
Come on,
Nugent
Mike.
wouldn't miss a dude.
Mike was
He was like a
fine.
second round
that's what I
pick,
take,
right?
But I thought they'd rename awards after this. I thought he'd never
Yeah.
just pick
Right?
the NFL. He
Yeah.
was, the year Ohio State won the national title, he was
so good.
like one of the greatest kicking seasons of all time. Jabbar Gaffney.
That's a good one.
Derek Hagan, Hands of Stone, Arizona State.
Yeah.
I thought he'd be electric too. Big, tall guy. Charlie Fry, my other MAC quarterback. Brown, not good. Lawrence Maroney, DJ
Yeah.
Shockley. And then lastly, this is the guy I almost took, Cadillac Williams.
He
I
was
had
on
him on
my list.
I took him off
Yeah.
though because he won rookie. Of
And
the
then
year.
two I didn't put on there. I talked to Kenjack for this, and his name, Quentin Jammer, was the guy.
Yeah,
Quentin Jammer was really
Oklahoma.
good, but he
Yeah.
was never like a superstar.
I think he was a 5th overall pick. or
Dorial
something.
Green Beckham was another one.
That
but-
was on my list. Yeah.
But man, Cadillac Williams, his name.
Cadillac,
Ronnie
his
Brown
name
was
was
the Wildcat
Yep.
guy.
Yep.
Him and that was the draft where Cedric
Yeah.
Benson,
And they
rest in peace.
also
So I thought you
had-
were gonna say Pat White, Steve Slayton.
Williams.
No,
That
a lot of people.
Auburn.
I skipped the West Virginia guy who a lot of people tweeted at
Noel
me. But
Devine.
yes, greatest high school tape of all time.
Yep.
Tavon Austin. People tweeted at me.
Tavon Austin. Yeah, he was.
Transferred to Southern Illinois.
I say I have three here. I have
Brian Jacobs.
two. I have Kyle Buller quickly. Kyle Buller
That's
was
a good one.
on the knee, throw it through the uprights. He was going to be a stud. A couple others that aren't really that relevant, but just two others I'd say. Aaron Maben. Aaron Maben just wanted to do art after he got to the NFL, and then Aaron Hernandez. Although I thought that would have been an interesting pick, but he was already being good and then killed a guy, and it just felt like out of place.
Kill himself.
The other guy
But
was-
he was a guy while he was on those Patriots team, they had Gronk. It was like, man, they're gonna have the best big man receiving duo for ever.
Chief.
I swear Troy Smith was just ahead of his time. That if he came out in 2016,
He stuck around for a while.
He
for
did
being
as a
shit on.
backup. Yeah, but he had a pretty big arm, a quick release, good athlete.
cannon.
I love Connor Shaw. I talk about him all the time
That's
too.
who you tweeted at me when I tweeted this out. You were probably Connor Shaw.
And then one week, I alluded to him yesterday when you and I were talking about this. I didn't end up drafting him. I would have, if I could have bought stock in Anthony Gonzalez when he got drafted by Peyton Manning and the Colts, that little wide receiver out of Ohio State. He was drafted in the first round.
I don't remember.
And I'm like, this guy is going to be unbelievable.
when I think of possession receiver, I think of Anthony Gonzalez. His big bald head.
He just never worked out. The scariest gut of all time, Chance Warmack. He was a trivia
answer
question
on
the
the
other
dozen,
night,
yeah.
and I thought because he came out of that tunnel in the Notre Dame game with his full gut showing. I'm like, well, this game's over. Notre Dame doesn't have any guts like that. And then he was fine, but he was out of the league by the time he was 27. So he had 2 years as a full time starter, 27 out of the league. And then Monty Ball, Wisconsin.
That's a good one.
Yeah, Monty
That is
Ball,
good.
Wisconsin went through this thing where they were just putting running backs out all the time, and I was like, he's the best of them all. Not.
When Carl said Jadeveon Clowney, I mentioned somebody. Vernon Golston is another one.
That's who I was
That's a
talking
good
about.
one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he was just.
Yeah.
He should not have been drafted.
I'm going to go first
No.
because I want to save the 6-time Pro Bowler for last. I just have a couple here. Sammy Watkins is a phenomenal pick. I don't think people remember how good he was at Clemson.
I remember watching him. He would just get little swing routes, And he was like a running back or receiver, just fucking running over defensive
He was
backs.
unbelievable.
He
And
was
then
amazing.
in that same vein, he's picked it up recently, but I still thought Mike Williams was going to be fucking unbelievable too. And he's still got, a lot more tread on the tires. But Jake Locker, I really liked him.
Yep.
Okay.
I really liked Jake Locker.
You're a big Locker guy.
I was a Jake Locker
That's
guy.
one I didn't believe in. I was
That
never
is-
a
yeah.
Locker guy.
I was a Locker guy.
Was he the same class? It was like that. I hated that whole quarterback class. It was like Ponder, the Bortles, and him. Right? Weren't they all in the same?
Forget exactly.
No, I think
Okay.
that's different. But your Locker
Ponder was
might have been
before
like
that.
you're in that same era of like the Geno Smith and like EJ Manuel.
Just,
like,
EJ Manuel was like, I'm like, that guy fucking stinks. he sucked at Florida State. Anyways, keep going.
I liked Jake Locker. I did. Cam Newton went 1 overall. Jake Locker was a second QB take.
He
and
won
Gabbert
MVP.
was after him. And just 2 more here. I really like Josh Rosen. I did.
Yeah, I think
know
Rose is a
you
good
did.
pick.
Yeah.
Is he even in the league anymore?
yeah. I
He's
think
got to be
backup
He's got like
somewhere.
3 more years as a backup, probably.
And then my last one was No Sean Moreno. Decent
Yeah.
career, but like I thought he was going to be a stud.
Overshadowed to Georgia by Stafford, but still good.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right,
he,
White
he had
Sox.
he had the gif. Like
I'm
the
going to go
crying
through
gif.
all of
Yeah,
them very
yeah.
quick. So Brad Banks, he was like the first college quarterback I was kind of enamored with.
Yeah.
I was like 8
He
or
was
9
sick.
years old. Cliff Kingsbury, for the same reason. It was in the spread offenses. I would look up his numbers on ESPN.com. He had like 6,000 pass yards.
Yeah.
I was like, why is this guy not going to go number 1 in the draft?
But I blame B.J. Simons, Sonny
Simons,
Cumby,
same thing, yeah.
Cliff Kingsbury and Graham Harrell for why
Graham Harrell, yeah.
I thought Patrick Mahomes would stink because I'm like, well, those guys
That
were good.
for the exact same thing. Yes.
Like air raid offenses
That
don't
doesn't-
translate.
yes,
Does not
for
For
translate.
that exact
Yeah.
same reason,
Yeah.
we went to the.
I've
we
been
knew
admitted
the
the Mahomes hater because of originally. Yeah.
when we had a buddy who was a coaching for the Chiefs, and we went to a Bears Chiefs preseason game like 4 years ago, and I was like fucking Patrick, like Texas Tech,
They don't play any
yeah, they don't play
defense in the Big
yeah,
12.
exactly for that reason, and it was like the opposite of the Cliff Kingsbury thing. But I remember seeing his numbers and be like, how is this guy not going number 1? And it was just because I didn't understand that systems don't
Yeah.
translate. Jeremy Ebert ran a 4.3 at his pro day, little white wide receiver. I'm like, has Patriots written all over him.
Northwestern, right?
Didn't drop a ball in his college career. He was consistently over 1,000 yards. I thought he was going to have a 10-year NFL career with the Patriots as
Let's
if
get to
he
the Pro
were.
Bowler.
Don't cut me off. I'm talking like I said, like what's his face said yesterday. Ryan Mallett, Dante Hightower, Michael the Burner Turner would have been an awful pick. He had a couple huge years out of Northern. Cadillac Williams, Aqib Talib. This was the Pro Bowler.
Keep Talib.
I'm thinking like guys that dominated in college. I love that.
I would say keep Talib the star, but yeah, go.
This is the one.
We
Eric
gotta
Berry.
go.
Eric Berry.
I would not have accepted that.
Really?
I would have been my veto. He got cancer.
Yeah.
I forgot about that too.
Yeah, but Eric
That's
Berry.
the reason why. Shout out to him, by the way. Eric Berry is a fucking maybe not like a legend. But he was for a while.
He was, and he
Eric Berry rules. I love.
I want to
Eric
say
Berry.
he's like in the.
I completely
Tennessee,
forgot about the
like,
cancer
song?
thing.
Ring of Fame or whatever too. Like he's
Eric
was
Berry.
awesome.
I
forgot he
was
had
so mad
cancer.
the Browns
I forgot
did
about
not
that.
get
Yeah.
Eric Berry. He
I
got
did
drafted
all
before
this
Joe
off the
Hayden.
top
He
of
came
my
back
head.
after cancer and was good
Yeah, he's
too.
But do you
Yeah.
think Eric Berry?
I would have vetoed. I would have begged for a veto on that.
See,
Eric
I would-
Berry-
I would put him in the same category as Reggie Bush, where it's like when he was coming out, everyone's like, "This is like a generational type."
he
safety
he ended up getting cancer.
I completely forgot about the cancer thing. So
and he
I
did get hurt.
apologize for
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
but he's still a very good pro.
Oh yeah.
He just didn't live up
definitely.
to expectations, and I don't think it was just because of the
Yeah.
cancer. So
People may hate the Bush pick, and that's fair.
And then Jeremy Maclin, LeVar Arrington, Monty Te'o, Keith Rivers, and Cedric Benson.
Cedric
rest
Benson
in
was
peace.
on my list. I mean, I have other ones on the list, but I didn't want to go
A
forever.
lot of these players died, which is really sad because none of them have played
Kevin
before,
White.
2000.
That's a good one. That would have been a
Tough.
good one. Major Applewhite.
Yeah, that was a name.
Yeah.
Kellen Moore too for me. I thought I know he had a rag arm, but he was just so smart.
I like the Boise State running back that got a couple of
Brock
starts.
Forsey.
Brock Forsey for the Bears. I remember he had like 2,000 yards at Boise State. I'm like, I don't care if he's white. Get him on the Bears. And he had an awesome game where he had like 150 yards and 2 tutties, and that was it for his career.
Week 14 against Alliance, 2003.
Yeah.
Barcavius Mingo.
Oh, we named so many fucking Browns. It's disgusting.
I love these drafts because like
I was at that
it's
draft,
the
too.
nostalgia.
I was
It is-
not as excited about that. I was like, what the fuck?
I remember seeing him in like his sophomore year at LSU, and I'm like, this guy is unbelievable.
A lot of interesting names. A lot of them. Damn, I was hoping for more than Eric Berry, though. I was hoping it was going to be a bombshell for the 5-time Pro Bowler.
But the
Yeah, like
Carson
come in
Palmer.
with, like,
he's been so recent.
Clay Matthews.
It's like the Pro Bowls everybody goes to the Pro Bowl now.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I was still shocked that he went to that many. But so my buddy that I grew up with, he played at Tennessee and became very good friends with the Berry family.
There's that song.
I
There's
would
that Eric
watch
Berry
Tennessee
song.
games to watch my buddies, and I was like, that's the fucking guy. Yeah. Draft him first overall, generational
There he
defensive
is.
player.
All right. Interesting draft.
Thank you.
Interesting. I don't
What's
know
the
who's
name of this
gonna win.
draft, Ed?
I'll be short it.
Yeah, players you thought would be stars in the NFL.
No, there's got to be players you thought would be NFL stars.
Players you thought would be NFL
Yeah,
stars.
good luck.
Yeah.
Good luck fitting that on the fucking.
Good luck to Ken Jack.
Get a thin font on that one.
Good luck to Ken Jack. Thank you, Jeff. Good topic. Enjoy the NFL draft, everybody.
Yeah. Watch the NFL draft show.
On the subject of this, I am leaving the draft room. I'm getting in my car. I'm driving down to the University of Illinois. I am playing quarterback in the spring game tonight.
Oh, nice.
So by the time you hear this, I am literally getting reps at quarterback tonight for the University of Illinois. Under
Do you
the
have
lights on.
eligibility left? Could you be?
I don't think I do, but I did want to bring that up on that drive. So you will see. You might have seen a highlight by the time
Juice
you
Williams
listen
should have been
of-
good in the NFL too.
of
because
me
of his
being
name.
dead. That's it. Sorry, Ed.
What were you going to say, Jeff?
Juice Williams should have been good just because of his name.
I didn't want to draft any Illinois.
Yeah.
All right. Well, yeah, enjoy the draft.
Well, NFL draft show, Barstool Sports.
Yeah, check
Watch
it out.
I didn't know you were such a big draft guy, Jeff.
Huge.
Yeah.
Huge draft guy.
I wonder if Chia is going to be mad that we did this
I am
without him,
getting
too.
Hope so.
fucking roasted.
Sure
for
hope
the-
so.
Oh, you weren't in here for it. I was just poking the berry the other day when we did the dog walk with Steven. I'm like, you know what? The NFL draft stinks. And I don't think that.
I don't like it like I used to. I liked it when it was in the small room and shit.
I liked it when it was all in 2 days.
Yes. Yeah. I don't like prime time. I like eating lunch on Saturday and watching the draft.
Yeah, it's background
Whatever. I
noise.
still fucking
yeah,
enjoy
yeah.
it. Whatever. Old man yawning clouds.
All right, everybody. That's it for today. We'll be back tomorrow. We will see you then.